How's everybody doing? We coming through loud and clear. Hope you guys like that little change up. I threw you guys a curveball. We got Doc Flamingo. He's a defender. Thank you guys so much. You got super chats in the intro. As you know, I could not do this alone.
Tons of people are saying a huge echo.
Oh, huge.
Hear an echo. It's like nonstop double D.
I know. I know why. Because I had the microphone. See, it's like fate was trying to intervene. It's trying to stop Jeffro and I. Shouldn't be going on anymore. They are fixed. Yep. Yeah, sorry, that was my bad.
Speaking of my bads, I got to get this out of the way.
Yeah, real quick. Crazy Mouse owes a public apology to someone.
I owe a public apology to Mrs. Mouse. Last week, I went off on her ruining Hulu with these passwords. It was all me. I was watching Hulu without the Wi-Fi on, so it was registering my phone as the home device, not our television. And I publicly shamed her last week for all the kerfuffle that she caused. It was me. So, sorry, Mrs. Mouse.
Sorry, Mrs. Mouse. Yeah.
Just stole a sack of potatoes.
You heard him. You love him. Crazy Mouse. Yeah, think of it as reverb, guys. As Pee Wee Herman says, I meant to do that.
As Urkel would say, did I do that?
And we have another one here. Oh, yeah.
Bringing in those good vibes.
Already over 100, and that means let's not...
we got one before.
Right, we'll do one before we go. Yeah, I'll grab that one, Crazy Mouse. Thank you. And then I will pretty much turn it over to you. Yar, spicy meats and smooth drink acquired. Let's get this one-to-one time line dance party started. You got it, buddy.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys, all you guys who super chatted during the intro. You guys are great.
Thank you guys very much.
Smash that like button.
Yep.
Should see a couple hundred on there by now.
It only takes a second.
I know.
Jeffro, are you still there?
I'm here.
Woohoo!
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So first of all, we'll do some housekeeping. First of all, thank you. I guess we could originally say like Harmony is probably the one that got the ball rolling on this when I had her on the show. We were talking and, I was probably said a few unkind things about you. I'm sure we've said a couple unkind things about each other, but let's see if we can turn over a new leaf.
Look, I'm not friends with anybody that I didn't get into a fight with first.
Yeah. That's the way men used to do it. Right. Yeah, but she's the one that said, hey, why don't you just talk to him? At first I was like, yeah, and then I was like, well, I don't know. Then you were blowing up my phone while I was on vacation with Mrs. D. You're like, come on, Double D, let's make this happen.
Yeah, right already. All right already. Get the rest, Jeffro.
But I was thinking about it, and you know what? I think it now is just kind of the right time. Let's just talk to each other, even if we have differences, big or small. Let's hashtag thank you, Harmony. Good to see you here, babe. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing to do this. Let's talk. My first question for you might be a bit of a curveball.
Great.
Like why don't you have a YouTube channel?
Because I'm an unfrozen caveman. I come from a time when the written word was the basis of exchange of ideas. For me, stepping out into this realm of live YouTube discussion is a departure from conveying ideas to literate people.
I do understand that, but man, I think you're missing out. I think you would be a big success, at least as far as this kind of realm goes.
Oh, well, that's very flattering of you to say that.
Because I know you do the blog, and you are. I will say this: even through it all, you are a pretty entertaining writer. I do chuckle, when I'm reading your write-ups, and you are at times painfully brutal on yourself as far as things that go bad and
But no,
things that go good.
we can't improve the hobby unless we share the failures in addition to the wins.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
Well, you should. I'm just telling you, it's a way to reach more people. Even good Lord, even if it was just you recapping your blog, if you could figure out how to do it, dude, you'd have 10,000 subs in like a year and a half, probably.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
Well, and I know you're working on a book. How's your book coming along, by the way?
Terrible.
There's that honesty.
No, I had a chance to wrap it up this summer, but we found out that we had more things to experiment with, more things to develop. Last year I didn't feel good about it because I didn't feel like we had solved the problems that I saw in Bro SR play, and then this spring we had kind of a critical mass of people experimenting with the battle Bronstein, was what we called it at the time, a session Bronstein, you might say. And when I had 12 people do that, and also being able to talk to B-Dubs about it, who had run Bro SR style campaign for 4 years, and he had come around on viewing the same things as being a problem that I had. When we had that critical mass of feedback and replication, it was like it opened up a new line of experimentation that it was going to take 3 months to do it, to really get the hold of the new thing. And so yeah, that's the reason of the delay.
Do you have an ETA, like as far as like when you'd like to release it?
Oh, I don't want to say now.
I understand that. You don't want to be pigeonholed.
No, I mean,
be like George R. Martin then.
No, I would have liked it to have been done last Christmas.
Yeah,
right.
I definitely understand that. Well, hey, work in progress. That's okay. I actually am. I didn't read like I guess what you call like the primer, but I actually am kind of interested in seeing what your magnum opus produces. Should be interesting.
I like the pamphlet. The pamphlet, as you can see right now, the word Bronstein is a hot commodity, a hot topic.
It is. We'll get it. We'll definitely get into that.
Cal let's catch up on some of these Double D.
All right, 1 second here, Jeffro. Let me just do some housekeeping here. Hungar the Starvarian, $5. Thank you, buddy. Hungar the Starvarian is Double D's favorite YouTuber, brought to you by Carl's Jr. because they pay me every time I do. Thank you, buddy. Dark Knight of Hibernia, Jeffro. As a caveman bangs his PC when it freezes. Jokes aside, I'm sorry for being a prick to you, Jeffro. I want to be more bro due to the basic expert and you. There you go. I guess that's a good segue. Before we get into, trust me, guys, we'll get into all the we'll have so much Bronstein. You'll be sick of it by the end.
Yes.
All right, so let me ask you this about the way the Bro SR is perceived, and because this is kind of how I perceived it a little bit, and I'm sure I was not the only one, but at times it seems it's almost like a personality cult, like based around you, and maybe that's a monument to you kind of being kind of a charismatic guy. Do you think it's a personality cult in any way?
It's weird. I don't know why this is. Like that, because when you see people, the way people interact with these ideas, it's very consistently. You'll see people like if they watch a John Mollison video, they'll play D&D precisely the way he demonstrates it, and they don't really come up with new ideas. And people that come into the cult, you might call let's call it a cult, the cult of personality. There's a lot of people that come in and they do things that in a derivative way from what they've seen in her or have been mentored in. To me, it's a different thing. It seems to be that I can consistently perceive with my intuition what the next thing needs to be, what the next stage of development needs to focus on. I don't know why this is, But for some reason, I'm a visionary. I can see, I can think outside the box, and I've been so consistent in being right. First with Appendix N, then with one-to-one time, next with Bronstein. It's consistent enough. Oh, and then with taking it down to the session Bronstein, that was absolutely the right move, to move away from the always on and to encourage people to try a session Bronstein instead in order to get the hang of things. So,
so what you're saying is sort of.
There's something
kind of
different about me, but the
Yeah.
reason that people look like they are in a cult is because they are elated that their campaign is better. And that looks
that's
like
what it looks like. That's what Matt and Nick are saying. Our friends at Black Lodge Games, one-to-one time has improved our home game.
well.
Thank you guys.
I don't even have to say it myself. I don't even have to brag.
That's right. We'll get into one-to-one time too, because I guess when I was originally kind of picking apart, I guess the Bro SR, I was kind of focused on that. I do have, I don't even know if you'd call it a concern, but I kind of had an epiphany about it, and I think what I would be afraid of if I ran this kind of stuff is it seems like it would devolve into PvP, player versus player. And for a lot of people, that's not the experience they want when they're sitting down to play this kind of game. Do you agree that could be an issue?
Oh, well, if it's a long campaign, like just for example, if you're running, let's take the assumption that you've gone beyond the 6 session barrier and you're hitting 30 or 50. Okay. By the time you hit 30 or 50 sessions, the people for whom this is not the game for will have dipped in and out, and they're just not going to come back. And the people who love it are going to hang around. So, you reap what you sow.
Understood. Dark Knight of Hibernia. I'm sure Pundit will be really happy you did this live stream, Double D. I'm sure he won't understand you like TBE, the basic expert, because he hates Jeffro. Well, I'll tell you this, Pundit has not said anything. He's not come out. I don't know. Maybe if we can all just kind of turn the corner here, it'll be for the good of everyone. Crafty Matt, $2. I'm still sitting outside the house on Paper Street. Good to see you here, Matt. Great talking to you.
Think about it from another point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here likes to play the same game. We're just bickering about how people like to play it.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of what it comes down to.
We're all playing the same game.
And that was kind of my what I was thinking too. It's like, I don't know, tempest in a teapot sometimes. Now, granted, it makes good fodder for me on YouTube. Makes good fodder for Jeffro on Twitter. He's calling people disgusting nerds and all that stuff. Dark Knight of Hibernia looks like €2. Meant to say unperson, damn autocrat. That's okay. Dark Knight of Hibernia. I think you got your point across. Thank you.
Real quick,
Mm-hmm.
Brian saying no, we all don't like the same game. Not at all.
Oh.
These are all the same game
for the most part.
I got news for you.
Different ways to play it, but yeah. Let me go back in time, because I don't know if how introspective you've been, like as far as your start. What game did you start with when you first heard of this thing called like role-playing games, Jeffro? Like, what was your first introduction to it?
Oh,
and how old were you?
I would have been in probably the 3rd grade, and the first role-playing game I would have bought would have been Car Wars.
Oh, okay. Steve Jackson games.
Yeah, the little black pocket box.
Mm-hmm. I remember it. Yeah, for sure. Now, did you get into the more traditional, like D&D, Vampire, that kind of stuff?
We didn't know how. In the 80s when I was a kid, we just couldn't improvise. And we didn't know how to make it work. I had a friend that would play Gamma World 3rd edition. He would run it, but he ignored all the rules. And that always bothered me. Like, that's kind of like gave birth to what I am, to go,
right.
What is really in there? Because I've always felt disappointed that he was just making up the game, and letting us live, and it was like, I always thought there was more to it than that, but I didn't know how to find it. And I hadn't been, nobody could tell. There were no blogs, we were poor.
Right.
So we liked Axis and Allies. We liked samurai swords. We liked
Fortress America, games like that. Yeah.
The Ameritrash games, we loved it. Supremacy was really good with the little mushroom clouds, but we would stay up till like 4:00 in the morning until somebody would forget to take their income and Axis and Allies, and then somebody would flip the table. I don't know if we ever finished a game of Axis and Allies, but we loved it. We loved the conflict. If we played a computer game, we would play a multiplayer conflict game, and we would have 3 computers set up in a turn-based strategy game, and we would rotate seats. So we would have 3 games going at once, and we would just grind away in a 4X type game on these early computers and just fight.
So kind of sounds like you were kind of, without knowing it, you were kind of setting the groundwork for, I guess I'd like to maybe say like a competitive style RPG, which is kind of what a Bronstein is.
No, and I've said this before. The early OSR was very inspirational to me. Like Matt Finch's, because it never occurred to me that you could just pick up AD&D or D&D or basic D&D and just do what it says. It never occurred to me. I based on every other product that I would have bought that was an RPG during the 80s, I assumed that D&D was stupid, that the people who made it were incoherent, that they couldn't write, that they couldn't design, that obviously Twilight 2000 is a better game. Obviously GURPS Humanx is a better game. Obviously, anything, with massive rule books, there's more realistic. Obviously that would be better. When the OSR, when Matt Finch and Jeff Rientz and James Malazewski and Michael Curtis of the 10-Foot Pole, when those guys were blogging in the aughts, I was enchanted by this. It never had occurred to me that you could just do what the rules say and that it would work. I didn't have a group of players until my kids were old enough to play. So I practiced on them, and then I started the game at the game store, and then I was running games at cons. And then when I would run games, I would run a campaign at the con because I wanted to experience a campaign so badly. And I ran Isle of Dread with BX at a con, and after 3 or 4 sessions of that, they were like, "We want to keep going." And so it was a local con. And so that was like my first real campaign. I was of course ecstatic, but even
the original sandbox adventure, that Isle of Dread, I mean, it was just so big. Just let me grab Chris Miller's here, and then you can go right back to what you're saying.
No, I'm ranting.
Yep. No, you're good. Back in the 80s, our DM used 1-to-1 time during the dungeon crawl, but time stopped between sessions. Is that pretty much what Jeffro does? Well, you want to answer that right now?
Read this one first and then answer.
Okay. Doc Flamingo, $5. We all need to put aside our differences and save our vitriol for those who truly deserve it. People who play GURPS.
Agreed.
Agreed.
and there's Chris's.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Yeah. So, and I know Griff talked about this in his in his sit down with Dundermoose.
Right.
Griff thinks like you guys are just kind of doing this, like you're just stretching time.
It's simpler than you think. But your first impulse on what this is always wrong. And obviously everyone needs to watch Rube Jelly's 1-to-1 time video. It's the best way. It's the most concise way to get up to speed on this. We didn't know how to express this coherently in a way that people could understand it until he figured out how to explain it. So we owe him a great debt. But here, concisely, I'll give you the short version. Time works in your sessions just like in every other session. You could play out 40 days, 50 days, 100 days in a session, which might actually happen if you were doing sea travel, for instance, or wilderness travel. You might rack up a very long period of time. The date that the session begins is the date that the activity will begin in the game. And you would then, from that date, look at what the next date, like if this happened in real time and it took 50 days, okay, what date on the calendar is 50 days in the future? Okay. And at this point, at the end of the session, when you stop, you say, okay, all of these players that were in this activity that we did tonight will be out of play until this calendar date. And that's what one-to-one time is. And now this sounds counterintuitive because it's like, well, why would I want to do that? You would not want to do it if you want to run the type of game that you're currently running. You want to do this in order to run a different type of game that has different properties. If you make a decision to do this, you can now coordinate the activities of multiple parties, multiple factions, multiple tiers of play, 20, 30, 40 different independent actors at once. It becomes possible to frame sessions and conflicts fairly and consistently, and derive things from all of this frenetic activity and independent activity to create conflict, create scenarios, create adventures that derive from all of this stuff. It sounds like more work, but it actually is less work because all you do is let the game run itself to a certain extent. You have to use your judgment to manage it. But as far as like, you don't need like a pile of modules to burn through to keep it going. Everything is predicated on what the players are doing and how they are interacting more than something that the referee devises in order to entertain people.
So, and thank you, Jeffro. Yeah, I guess he probably broke it down there pretty good for you.
That's as concise as I've ever been.
I guess, and maybe you hit on it. Maybe this is just kind of what we're all missing when you just said, like, look, this isn't for every game. Because like a Call of Cthulhu game, for instance, if you're stuck on a ocean going ship, going over to China, there's just not going to be that much to do. Even if you have another group, there just might not be anything to do. So you'd be, almost wanting to just kind of compress time. And
right now, I could elaborate on what to do with that, but I won't. We're just going to table that and keep going. But that's a good thought, though.
Okay, Crafty Matt, go ahead and pick that one up there.
Did you do this one?
Yeah, I think we answered that. Yeah, for people new to the idea, one-to-one time, how do you break it down for new? I think, yeah, like I said, I think he kind of answered that. Thank you, Jeff. I hope that answered your question. Crafty Matt, $10. Thank you very much. One-to-one time is easy. You can play an entire adventure in a single session, but if the adventure took 60 days of in-game time, those players are locked out of play for 60 real days. Play other characters. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, fair enough. I am kind of, when you're used to playing we'll call it the old-fashioned way, you still kind of have to wrap your head around that kind of stuff. But I am starting to kind of get it, even if it might not be my cup of tea. I think I am starting to get it just a little bit more. Dark Knight of Hibernia, €5. My S&W campaign has multiple DM region Gothic horror with Stonehell, Mega Dungeon, Cosmic, Thunderdome, Mad Max, Dying Earth, Wild West, Egypt, Crusader States. Wow.
That sounds awesome.
That is a mouthful.
Chris, I got you, Chris. There you go.
So Chris Miller, our friend at Jeffro, what's the point in one-to-one time? Just to get people to commit to shorter breaks in game session? It doesn't make sense to have PCs die of starvation because the group can't get together. Any thoughts?
Gosh, I don't understand the question.
Let me get it. I'll pull it back up.
I mean, is the point I guess the point is to foster a certain style of play, right? I mean, it is kind of to foster kind of maybe more scheming, more thoughts about the world around. Is that kind of correct?
Now I'll tell you what I observed, and this is the first thing I observed. Now, there's a lot of things you can do with it. There's a lot of applications. There's a lot to explore. But the moment that we had one campaign with multiple parties in it that are operating concurrently, what happened at that point was that we stopped thinking about the campaign in terms of the party, and we started thinking about the campaign in terms of the campaign world itself. And so if you look back in the 70s, you didn't play in Gary's game and you didn't play in Dave's game. You played Blackmore, you played Greyhawk. And when you played with me, this wasn't me trying to emulate them. it just spontaneously happened. Everybody was like, oh no, I'm in Trollopulous. It's still Trollopulous. I'm not even DMing it. And people are like, no, I play Trollopulous. That the campaign ends up taking a life of its own when you adopt one-to-one time and have multiple groups in it operating at once. It just does. And the world itself starts developing, like with those different groups in it, the more independent actors in it, the more things that are happening concurrently, the more aspects of that world are developing at once. So if I have 8 independent actors in a game, I will have as much world developed over the course of a few weeks as some people in conventional games will develop in a year, because I have all those different point of views. And somehow, even if you're not directly interacting with them, there's a reality to each individual's perspective. As long as the referee's in the loop, like it ends up, even if you don't have direct conflict between people in 2 different places, the events in these different areas of the game end up subtly coloring each other. And so this is where I would start talking about immersion or verisimilitude. It just does something that conventional play doesn't do because it's so multifaceted.
Now, Griff said, when he was kind of talking about what is a Bronstein game and what isn't, he said that a referee is almost not need. I mean, it's not that they're not needed, but they should have a very, very limited role in a true Bronstein game. Do you think that's true, or how do you do it? I guess.
Yeah. Now I want on one thing. Griff and I do use basically the same definition for Bronstein, which is intriguing. I didn't know that he would be that way, but he gave that up on one of his recent interviews. I was very surprised by this. So we are.
Tell us, I guess, for because there might be new people tuning in or people after the fact. What is a Bronstein game? Who started it? And what have you guys done with it?
Okay, this is my definition, and again, I'm being concise. I'm not going to go on a long digression. But a Bronstein, and first I'll define conventional RPG play, and that is you have one referee and basically one group of characters that are in a party that tend to stay together. And that's it. There's not a lot of PvP, as you indicated when you opened the show. We don't want to do PvP with this model. No, you don't. If you play that type of game, then PvP is something that can wreck your campaign. I don't even have to explain that. But a Bronstein is different. And if you've watched the Blackmore film documentary, it tells you everything you need to know to run one. And it's true. Now Griff would disagree on that point very vehemently. So keep in mind that I may be biased here when I tell you this. But,
I think it's crazy that there's so much kind of bad blood between you two, but kind of like reading some of your stuff, it's pretty clear you love Secrets of Blackmore. You thought he did great.
We are fans of Griff. He has he has made our games obsessively, dangerously fun. He has brought new information to the RPG world that wasn't there before, and it wasn't in a form that people could act on. So no, we absolutely look up to him for what he did. We value his efforts, his contributions. It's great. But the concise definition of a Bronstein, if you watch the Blackmore film, it talks about the original one. And you had one referee, and he would talk to the players one at a time because every player was operating independently, and he didn't know what everybody else was doing. So you had multiple players operating under a fog of war, and the referee adjudicates. You have to have the referee, or you can't make that work at all. But the wondrous thing, the awesome thing about this, the surprising thing, and it's something that went wrong. It's something that that Major Wesley didn't intend to happen. But as he was talking to people one at a time, running this game that he had devised, everybody else in the other room figured out that they could talk to each other, negotiate, cut deals. There would even be things that happened without the referee saying, okay, yeah, that happened. So Major Wesley would call people to a conference. I need to talk to you about this one thing that's happening in the game world. And he'd say, okay, now this happens. And the player would say, oh, no, I'm not over there anymore. I'm actually over here talking to this other guy, and we're going to do this. And so the game got out of the referee's control. And so when we run these things,
He thought it was a failure, didn't he? Because
yes, he did.
People were,
but the part that the part that was really fun was the part that he thought was a failure.
right.
If the game gets so exciting that it goes off the rails like that, everybody that does this goes through the same process. The first one they do it, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. And afterwards, they're like, oh, I could do so many things better. And then they always overcompensate. Like the second or third one, they lock everything down. They're like, no, we're doing it this way because I'm not going to let this thing happen, which I didn't like. And it's funny, but I think people's first efforts are almost always more exciting, more memorable, and produce better action than when they nail everything down and then when they fix everything.
Yep.
But I say that to anyone in the audience that is like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I'm smart enough to do this. I don't know if I can handle this. No, you can do this. You can do this. It has varying degrees, but it's this game design concept is so anti-fragile. You can't mess it up. Let
me ask you one thing. Like when you're, all right, so you're playing, are you playing like over Discord? Are you playing any of this in person, or is this kind of all over the internet?
No, we've done it every way. Night Danger plays things in person. And only plays things in person. So, and he's replicated our results there, which is really cool. I think if you do this in person, it's basically a party, essentially. It's great.
Does it kind of devolve? I don't want to say devolve, but does it kind of turn into a LARP almost a little bit?
The more wargaming. And the more strict you are with the turns and time limits on negotiation, it can be more diplomacy-like, and it can be more wargaming-like. And you might even have different groups. Like some people might be doing more role-playing type stuff. Other people might be playing on the war game level, and then other people might be like, I don't know. They might actually like, oh, we're having a dinner party. And it's like, okay, go ahead. And then you find out later that someone set up that dinner party in order to assassinate someone. But, you talking
about like the space cotillion that you were struggling with lately.
What a disaster.
Dark Knight of Hibernia for €5. Jeffro and Double D. The Basic Expert has been promoting zero prep dungeons, making the dungeons as PCs travel through it. Thoughts on this method of play? Thank you very much, Dark Knight. I like to have a good idea of the dungeons themselves.
Yep.
I'm okay as far as like zero prep play because I've been running the same campaign for 30 years. I kind of know the world. I kind of in my head have an idea of what's going on in places. I'll do a little bit of prep, but as the years go by, as you become a better DM, you find you don't need a lot of prep. So
right.
I guess I'm sort of a fan. How about you, Jeffro?
Now in terms separating my opinion, like what did I actually do in 2023? I ran weekly for about 6 months, and I had 2 one-page dungeons that with restocking were good for 2 months. So that's not technically zero prep, but 2 one-page dungeons for 6 months, and it kind of grew and developed, because every time they went in it, with the one-to-one time, it's like, okay, each of these rooms, there was time for restocking and times for things to adapt. So yeah, I'm not strictly zero prep like the doctrine, but when you divide up the amount of prep given that time period, it comes out to about 0.
Yeah. 0, very, very low, I guess. So we're probably on the same page there. Crafty Matt, $5. One-to-one model works with any club size. My daughter and I played one-to-one scale, and she manages around 20 to 30 characters now in all corners of Greyhawk. Yeah, it's you kind of have to set aside for like traditional gamers, like, hey, this is my character. I'm gonna ride or die with them. You have to be open to kind of doing that kind of stuff, but it could certainly be fun, for sure. Any thoughts on that, Jeffro?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say that it was a surprise when in 2020 when we did hit multiple characters for the first time. That was new to us. A lot of people will say we've always done that, and I'm sure they did. But being able to have a paladin and an assassin and to alternate them week to week, or whatever your two characters are. And if you had two spellcasters, you'd have you'd have different spells. Every time you rolled up a magic user, you'd have a different. We had random spell selection.
You mentioned earlier it is kind of a commitment to the world rather than just only your character.
But you especially with a game as large as AD&D, you explore more of the rules material faster when you do it this way because you have more of the game elements in play, and the multiple parties are encounter. When they have a wilderness counter and they don't kill it and it ends up, you place that on the wilderness map. So you got more of the monster manual getting used. And then the other thing happens when the players want to do the Halloween session and they're going to go to the scariest place that they've never beaten. And then they bring among themselves, they're like, well, let's pick the best characters that are available for this task. And they do 3 clerics and 2 thieves. And then they go wreck the dungeon like it's nothing. So it opens up new strategies that are a surprise if you've never played this way before.
Other moderator, Authoritative News Network. Good to see you here. Don't always see you, ANN. He put the link for Jeffro's blog.
It's in the chat.
Yep, exactly. And thank you, Crazy Mouse. It's in the chat. I do encourage you guys. They are entertaining reads. He's a pretty crack writer. So check it out. I also, in the description to this live stream, I put a link to Cirvosa Magazine and Pylon Press, where you can kind of get Jeffro's sneak preview to his book. And I'll ask you about Cirvosa Magazine in a moment, but I want to grab our friend Snake Oil Sean's $10 super chat here. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for the gift of the memberships too earlier. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Jeffro, would you say your style of DMing in regard to one-to-one time is more akin to a competitive co-op where multiple parties are existing in the same campaign world, working towards similar goals?
Gosh,
or is it differing goals maybe at the end?
Man, if I could, I'll go back to last year again. I did have 2 tables. I had a face-to-face table in the game at the same time as my online group. And of course, the face-to-face group was obviously going to be a little more normie, a little more regular, possibly even a little more SJW. And then my online group were like, you know them, very notorious. It's like, can you get these 2 groups to play together? And so, my stories are going way long. I hope.
No, you're good. You're good. No, you're good. It's entertaining. Please keep going.
I'm like the guy at the Apollo, like with that hook. If you're going too long, I got you.
Oh, okay.
He'll start to play off the stage like it's the Oscars. Like we'll start the music, the band music.
But So I had 3 characters that had gotten captured by the evil wizard in the dungeon, and I was delighted by this. He had charmed them, he had captured them. The players had left them there to go to town to get some stuff to rescue them from a trap, and when they came back, of course, they were gone. The evil wizard had them, and so I took these guys. They had took their 3 Ps, and I'm like, okay, you guys are evil bad guys in the campaign now. And you're going to have to come up with something to mess with the PCs. I'm putting that on you because I know that you're more evil than I am, and you'd make a better opponent than me. Because if I was running something for the players, I'm going to be tempted to give them something fair and to let them win with their last hit point. And oh, look at that, you saved the day. It's really hard to give a good fight to the players in a conventional role-playing game, just for psychological and social reasons. I'm going to say if it's good or bad, either way, it's just how it is. And so the group in town had this cross-time adventure, and they'd come back with these dragon eggs, and they were stoked. They were like, we've got these dragon eggs. And so I had the evil guys come up with a plan to take these eggs from these real life people. And I told them, I looked at the plan and I told them, I'm like, okay, you guys are not going to keep those eggs. And they're like, hold up. Don't we have to roll some dice first? And I'm like, I look back at the plan and I'm like, it won't make a difference. Because players come up with stupid plans all the time. And of course, when the DM is playing the NPCs always fall for the stupid plans. But players never go up against somebody else's stupid plans, right? And so I run out this plan step by step, and it's so ludicrous. I don't have time to describe it to you. Just trust me, it was completely. It shouldn't have worked. But they had the look on their faces, like the moment that the first thing happened, they're like, I'm on the other end of a stupid plan. And I have no idea what's happening. I know that anything I do is going to be the wrong thing. They were so scared. They were so
M. Night Shyamalan twist there.
it was horrible. Now the plan didn't work. But the main PC had given a scroll to an NPC, the evil person's illusionist. And that scroll, which he had given him, and the information that came out from the situation, allowed the evil party after the session to put their heads together and then figure out a way to actually pull off the heist. So it was a beautiful game. It was better than anything I could have invented. And it derived entirely from the actions of two different groups of players, the continuity of the campaign as it had come about through the actions of two different groups.
Jeff from Denkar for $5 Canadian. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. How would 1-to-1 and Braunstein play work in the varying D&D worlds and settings, like Ravenloft, Birthright, Dark Sun? Any setting specifics to consider? I know you guys did a Ravenloft one, right?
Yeah. That one was wild. Now the BroSR has typically pushed for original settings, original campaigns. And of course, we're very notorious for getting very weird in the things that we do. I've tried doing it the other way with my Traveler campaign to see if I was missing anything by not being Gonzo, for instance. And there's trade-offs. But I would say now this is just from talking to Harmony Ginger. She runs several games, one of which is an original campaign setting that the players built through a Braunstein game that preceded the role playing part. And she also does several other games that are set. I think she uses Forgotten Realms. And if you want to have regular people come in and not be weirded out, then obviously basing off something like a bland, vanilla, derivative, blasé, uninspiring Forgotten Realms setting is, that's just a good canvas to work on if you just want to move on and play D&D with regular people that have regular assumptions. But if you want to create a unique culture that is indigenous to your friend group and that represents your friend group in a unique way, and the trade-off there is your friends will love it because everyone's a narcissist, and when they look into the campaign world, they'll see themselves, and of course they'll be obsessed with it because they see themselves reflected back, and of course they like themselves, and that's a good move there. But your trade-off there is as regular people come in, it's like they don't see themselves in that, and they're like, I don't know about this. So, right. Which is what happened when everybody looked in on the BroSR. Why is this good? Well, if you were us, it would be good.
Chris Miller asks if let's say if you're doing the 1-to-1 time, they get caught kind of in the middle, caught looking, so to speak. You know, they only have rations for 1 week, but there's a 3-week gap. What happens in that
Right.
situation?
Right. Yeah. This is Harmony's answer to that. I think when the rules of the game when the rules of the game change, the way people play the game changes too. So the scenario that you're proposing there doesn't tend to happen because people aren't stupid.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Off Grid Gaming, $10 Canadian. Thank you. You guys are doing very good tonight. Thank you so much for all the super chats and memberships. I do appreciate it. In my humble opinion, says Off Grid Gaming, some of the indie RPG creator scene thrive on the dissonance in the community, and others want to build up the community and get past it. Concentrate on slaying the corpo giant like, WotC or Paizo, all that stuff. Hashtag indie RPG. Well, I'll just say that's kind of what we're trying to do right now. Let's see if we can get a little closer. Also, why are you hiding behind Cardinal Reach? That's me. That used to be his avatar. You use what's his name? Judd Nelson from the Breakfast Club now, don't you?
I'm Bender now.
You're Bender, yeah. I gotta admit, I'm a total simp for Charlton Heston in the 3 and the 4 Musketeers. So yeah, I put that there. Little throwback. Homage.
No, and I have to say, I've been talking an awful lot, but like Bishop Buffro was the funniest thing ever.
glad you liked it. I kind of, I don't know. I know it probably hit you. But,
no, it was hysterical. It was better. It was better kayfabe than what we were doing. I was jealous.
Yeah, you'll do anything when you're starting out, get a little attention. But I had a fun time with that. Or I should say, hey, he invaded my channel.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, actually, correct.
Yeah. Dark Knight of Hibernia, €5. Double D and Jeffro. What is or are your favorite authors' books of the Appendix N list? The more I read the books, the more I love D&D and get its rules and flavor.
Right.
Before you answer that, I'm going to say Harmony's in the chat, and she just said, Jeffro, that you described her games better than she could.
There you go. Yeah, then we'll pick up that Snake Oil Sean up there after we answer this. Yeah, I think that's a member.
Right here, we're waiting for it. Yep,
member comment. Mine, look, nobody has ever written action and probably never will write action the way Robert E. Howard does. I love Robert E. Howard. The Conan stories are fantastic. I do like Fritz Lieber too. I really do love Fawford and Grey Mouser. I mean, I know it's a cop-out, but good Lord. I just reread all the Conan stories earlier this year. And man, it's just, they're so good.
Yep.
So good. What about yours?
I really like Lord Dunsany is my top favorite, and A. Merritt. Both of these guys are weirdly obscure. Like they shouldn't be as obscure as they are. I could pick more, obviously, but those are going to be the older authors from the Appendix N list.
What was the one where it was like it was in like God, I can't remember the exact time, but it was obviously like medieval, and a spaceship came down, and they took,
that's the High Crusade.
The High Crusade, yeah, I read that for the first time actually this summer.
I
really liked it. It's nice, digestible, easy read, good story.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
The Christian knights were the good guys for once.
Yeah,
right?
for a change. Yeah. Snake Oil Sean, a Justiciar member for looks like half a year. My favorite party versus party story is from Kenzerco. It's the basis for the head of Vecna artifact that led to multiple decapitations in one party. Did you ever read Knights at the Dinner Table? Did you ever get into any of that, Jeffro?
That's like slightly after my time.
Yeah, mine too. But when we got into 3rd edition, I found myself kind of like just craving anything. So I ended up getting like a subscription for like a year. It's kind of interesting. It kind of captured the mood and the era quite well back then. I think they even joked about players or DMs being paid to DM games, and sure enough, that became a reality. Crazily enough. Disco Barbarian for $2. starting Red Nails tonight. Ooh, Red Nails is a very good story.
That's my favorite story.
I know. I was going to say that's Rogan's favorite. Very somber. It kind of does get. It's kind of towards the end of the Robert E. Howard stories too, so you can kind of tell that one and the Black River one.
Right.
The Black River
yes.
one is becoming one of my favorites.
And,
It's so somber.
I like Breckenridge Elkins, which I've never seen anybody talking about. This is Howard.
Is that the Western? Is that his Western guy?
And it's comedy. It's all funny.
Yes.
It's like a cartoon. Like Robert E. Howard could write Western cartoon characters, basically. It's hilarious.
Mercurius gifted a membership. Thank you so much.
Right after him, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wiley just gifted 5.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much.
Wiley,
That's
thank you so
awesome.
much.
Thanks a
Guys,
lot,
all of
everybody.
you gifted 5
We got
memberships. Wiley
Crafty Matt
Dukevich.
right here.
$5. Yes, Matt is celebrating Howard September. It's Sumerian September. 21st is Robert E. Howard. 21 Robert E. Howard stories in 30 days. Can you even call yourself a man if you cannot complete this challenge? Well, I think every man should read at least a couple of those stories. Give it a try.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just so easy to read, and it really is true. Like Robert E. Howard could write action like no other. Dark Knight of Hibernia, $2. Christian Knights were good for a change, Jeffro, right?
Yep, I meant what I
Indeed.
said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Disco Barbarian, $5. Robert E. Howard, one of American literature's greatest writers. And I'll fight people over. Yeah, there was this time I remember, I think you're starting to see kind of a reevaluation, but I remember like these snobby intellectuals, would really look down on someone like Howard, like, oh, it's just pulp magazine writing for the 1930s. And really not seeing like some of the stuff, that he put in there. I mean, Robert E. Howard was a learned man.
Show me the better authors. They don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And the prestige authors are so obviously inferior. It's like if people were getting smarter decade over decade, then why can't people write why is it the only Sky Hernstrom can write in that same vein out of everyone?
Yep. Do you let me catch you here a little bit, because I remember there was a time on Twitter when you were kind of going after Lord of the Rings, Tolkien. What is on the record, like, how do you feel about Lord of the Rings, J.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, all that?
Now I just got somebody who wrote, my account's unprotected, and occasionally I let new people in that have requested a follow, right? But somebody came in and they had this long thing about, thank you, Jeffro, for writing Appendix N. I've learned all these. I didn't know about these authors, and they're so great. I'm trying to get everyone to read them, and on and on. And he said when he wrote this letter to this person that I grew up reading, but the only fantasy that I knew of, only older fantasy that I knew of, would have been C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, and that's it. So now this is not. I'm not putting Tolkien on blast by doing this. But for instance, if you had only read Harry Potter and that was the only fantasy you knew, then you would probably look illiterate if you were in a conversation talking about fantasy. And the people who've read Tolkien are going to look down on the Harry Potter people for that reason. However, anybody that is fluent in Appendix N, if you've only read Narnia and Lord of the Rings, then the people that have read Appendix N are going to look at you and be like, you don't know anything about fantasy during the 20th century. You know nothing. So something happened if Tolkien and Lewis are the only ones, if they are the exemplars, the ground floor of fantasy, then a nuclear bomb went off in our collective culture, and you lose Howard, for instance, and several other. You lose Liber, there's more good stuff than just Tolkien, and there's stuff that is good in different ways than Tolkien is good. And this diversity of good is really, really. I don't want to. I don't want to like make too much of it, but it's fulfilling, it's inspiring, it's broadening, it makes you a better person. It's good. It's just good. It's intrinsically good.
Snake O'Shawn says, praise for Breckenridge Elkins. Jeffro, I take back most of the bad things I've ever said about you. Thank you very much, Snake O'Shawn. €2 from Dark Knight of Hibernia. Betas flee from a Chad like Conan. Failed morale. Yes, indeed.
Someone else has an author that they like right here, Clark Aston.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Clark Ashton Smith. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a good one too. I have not read his whole, I guess maybe it's like something I'm saving for the future. I've read a couple of his stories and they are very good too. Do you like Lovecraft himself, Jeffro?
Yeah.
I should tell you, I always found him a little long-winded and he was a hard read.
Right.
Every time I always finished an H.P. Lovecraft story, I always say, damn, that sounds like a great idea. Somebody should write a story about it sometime.
There's a lot of things that are funny about Lovecraft. Like his early stories he's mostly channeling Dunsany, which I find very intriguing because it shows that Dunsany really is a major fundamental pillar of the science fiction and fantasy tradition. The other thing that I find very interesting about Lovecraft is that in his day, he was not considered to be a horror author. He was considered to be a science fiction author. And so, everything about his career he's just not what we think of him as being in a lot of ways. There's more to him than the way he's been pigeonholed.
Right. The Wiley Dudkevich, $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Also for those memberships earlier, the Bushido online series by Nikita Thorne. She's by far the best modern author I binge. Only 4 books, but a 5th is coming. It's lit RPG and would love for it to be a real tabletop RPG. Do you have any experience with that one, Jeffro?
Oh, I don't know. I don't play any game after 1980, so.
the Bushido online. Maybe I'll have to check that out, Wiley. Put that in the old memory hole. Jeff from Denkar, $2. Always loves Solomon Kane. I say, yeah, I did read all the Solomon Kane stories.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Great stories.
Did you ever see the movie?
Skipped it. I know I would tear my hair out if I watched it.
That's right. Mr. Creosote for $5. Am I cringe for being in love with Jim Butcher and Terry Pratchett?
Oh,
I have everything they've ever wrote, I think. No, look, my wife has read all of their stuff. Now, look, I actually like Jim Butcher. I'm not the biggest Terry Pratchett fan, only because I appreciate why people like him, but that kind of British sense of humor kind of goes over my head at times.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I coined the phrase "don't read anything after 1980." So
no truck there with you.
Guess what my opinion is on those two.
The Jim Butcher books are a good. I know Rogan, you like Jim Butcher.
Oh, absolutely.
Too.
I love the Dresden series,
Here,
and
yeah.
I read his other series as well. But the other stuff I haven't read yet.
Yeah, they're good. I don't want to say like popcorn books. I mean, that's I know that would be like too demeaning, but they're nice, breezy. They're breezy reads.
You just burn through it. Like you have to like call in sick. It's dangerous.
I agree.
Well, then thank you very much, Mr. Creosote. All right, so let's talk a little bit more. Let's swing back to Braunstein, but not so much what it is, but kind of like the kerfuffle around it, because watching Dundermoose's stream with Griff. It seems, well, first I'll pick this up real quick. Nothing after 1980 means no first law series, and that is a crime against America.
Sorry, we got to do it. Sorry.
Thanos snap. Go ahead, Patrick Debo as well. Patrick. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, guys are being too generous. Creosote, nay, you are a person of fine taste. There you go. Thank you, Patrick. Good to see you here. All right, so I think basically, because I see you and Griff, squabbling a lot on Twitter. he doesn't like a lot of the Bro SR. Well, I think he's okay with them until he sees them kind of acting up on Twitter, and then he blocks them. But it's clear you guys are fans of his. You're fans of Dave Wesley. His big thing is, hey, you guys aren't playing real Bronstein. You should not call what you're playing Bronstein. He says if you call it Travelerstein or something like that, or Jeffro Stein, that's fine. And I think that comes from his personal interactions, through his filming of the documentary, with Dave Wesley, and kind of wanting to honor him. And I think he kind of views you guys as kind of like, kind of like those, like Marlon Brando and, the Wild Ones or something, just kind of, stomping all over tradition and not paying your, your respects to, one of the members. What do you say to all that?
Well, I got a lot of complex feelings about this. I got a lot of, I don't know where to begin. I don't know how to be concise, but I think we could all agree that something special happened in the Midwest in the late 60s and early 70s. And you had a lot of very creative people, a lot of very intelligent people, a lot of gifted people come together and develop several ideas very quickly that fit together in extraordinary ways. And then through the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, and the teens, I have documented that this knowledge disappeared, that things that they knew and took for granted disappeared and did not show up in game magazine articles. It did not show up in blogs when blogging became a thing. It did not show up in the indie games, both on the wargaming side and on the role-playing side. Something was lost. It was like in the Dark Crystal where the shard comes out of it, and then you have the Skeksis and the mystics broken up. It was a cataclysm somewhere around 1980. Both culturally with the literature of science fiction, fantasy, and something happened with the games as well, in the transition from hobby to industry. And, what I have been doing with the Bro SR, we didn't know that we were doing this. And I don't think it's, this is like when, like when John Lennon had said that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus, right? And he caught all this flack, right?
Yeah.
And like he says, look, it's just a fact, right? So I'm gonna pull a John Lennon here. Forgive me, everyone that hates John Lennon, but the Bro SR is a group of very dedicated, talented, gifted people who came together and devised several distinct ideas and combined them and integrated them in very extraordinary ways. Some of what we did reverse engineered things we knew about the gameplay in the late 60s and early 70s, purely on the basis of what was in the rules and what we could gather from Griff's documentary. So some of what we did was reverse engineering. Some of what we did was merely following instructions. But there's another thing that we did that I think is very important. I think Griff is absolutely right to encourage people to show respect to the founders of the hobby, to the pioneers of the hobby. But by the same token,
let me interrupt you there for just one moment, because then you can continue. Do you? I know how this may sound, because
yeah,
you got people who like you, support you.
Right.
They may not act the way you would act. Do you feel any responsibility, kind of like as being kind of the titular head of the Bro SR, if somebody F-offs like Griff, or is it just kind of you just being like, well, hey, boys will be boys, right?
Oh gosh. No. Gosh. I don't know what to say. No, I do have like my own plans and goals, and like for instance with the Rob Kuntz thing, Rob Kuntz issued a challenge, I think on Sunday, in the thread in the comments on your thing, and I'm like, well, this is a great opportunity, if I enter an adventure design contest against Rob Kuntz and then lose, that's a win for me, even if I lose, because of all the attention I would get. Right. It would be, and the discussion that would come out of that about the two schools of thought. Even if the judges all said Kuntz's adventure is better than mine, for whatever the criteria was, the debate and discussion of comparing and contrasting our visions would just be simply awesome. So when that happened, immediately some of my quote allies unquote started dunking on Rob Kuntz or some of them. I love these people dearly. They're close friends of mine. Some people even started explaining why this contest shouldn't work, and it was like, bruh.
I was excited. I'm just showing some of it here for a little context. Because it's like we had Rob Kuntz, we have Alexander McCrease involved, like saying, this should, this could happen, and then it all like fell apart like so quickly.
I wish I was a cult leader that had complete authority over my minions, but the fact is I don't.
I can kind of see that. And like, look, we're all adults here. And that's kind of where, like, look, I like Griff. I've talked to Griff, offline and all that stuff. He seems like a really good dude, and he just does have kind of this, this bee in his bonnet for you guys. And I think, it's two parts. I think the Bro SR as a whole could probably be a little bit more, nicer. And I think he could probably turn the other cheek maybe a little bit more and just realize, like, look, I'm just going to ignore this.
We're not playing the same game. The Bro SR is entirely hobbyists. We share everything that we discover for free on our blogs and on YouTube. And we do anything we can to help people get a better campaign. We're not trying to sell anything. I don't know what Griff's objective is, but it's not that. And I think you also saw this with Rob Kuntz, when I asked Rob, I'm like, hey, don't you think that the difference between our two products, when the judges look at them, that the only criteria that matters should be how they play at the table? And his reaction was, I don't get it. None of it.
Which I sort of agree. Look, I love Rob. I've had him on here. He was a great interview too. Such a fascinating guy. But I kind of understood where you were coming from, and I guess that is the ultimate goal of an RPG product. How does it play? And I'm sure you can tell these guys. I was willing to, with my group, just kind of like run them off, on some side night.
But as hobbyists, we can pursue that as our ultimate objective, and we have nothing to lose by we don't care. We only care about what works. But as soon as you start playing I'm an industry figure game, or I have an OSR product game, and then every answer to every problem at the table is buy my product. Oh, I have a product for that. That kills innovation, that kills discovery, that kills communities. It kills an exchange of ideas. I think what people, the reason that I'm here talking to you right now is because, and this is just a theory. You can feel free to tell, oh no, wrong. It's because of this. No. I think it's because there's been a shift where, there was a time when the Bro SR was odious and hated, and everybody despised us because we were jerks. That's true, we were jerks. But over time, it has become evident that our enemies are even more annoying than us. So, and that's why I'm here now. That's the only reason I'm here now, overcoming very, very large hurdles of social ostracism and personal attacks, attempts to cancel me, the things that people do to make me shut up have been rather surprised, a little bit shocking. But nevertheless, the quality of our work is greater than our disappointing behaviors.
Well put. Disco Barbarian, $2. That's been up there a while. Indian leg wrestling at dawn, sir. 1 second here, Crazy Mouse. I just want to put one thing up here. Who's Griff? Yeah, I should say that because I've just been kind of referring to. Go ahead, you can put up whatever you were going to. That's Griffith Morgan, guys. Go see, and I'm sure even
yeah, it's been answered.
Yeah, as much as they spat, I'm sure even Jeffro would say, please go see Secrets of Blackmore.
No,
you have to understand
absolutely.
the roots of our game. You have to.
It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think you guys are, and I think you know this too. You guys are closer, to coming together than you might think. And I do see. Whoops, sorry about that, Crazy Mouse.
No, you're good.
You guys are trying to find your way and play a style of game where there's no rules codified. Now, Griff has said that he's going to do that at some point. Let's flesh it out in the future. He produces a game that says, the Bronstein RPG. This is a Bronstein.
Yeah,
it's different. It's different from what you guys are playing because you guys have kind of, put your own spin on it. Do you continue then to call your games Bronsteins just to kind of tweak Griffith Morgan's nose? Or do you say, all right, these are now, Jeffro Steins or, Traveler Steins or whatever.
Well, I got interrupted just a little bit ago. I was, and this is exactly the point. This is exactly the point. So I'm not going to backtrack too far, but we should appreciate and admire and look up to the pioneers of the hobby from the late 60s and early 70s in the Midwest. It's awesome what they did. And by the same token, the Bro SR has looked at what those guys were looking at, and we have built on it. There's a lot of things that generation could have said that would have improved people's games, which they didn't say, which they didn't articulate. And we had to figure out how these things worked ourselves and then learn how to explain it in a way that other people could understand it. I don't think we're throwing shade at anybody to say that didn't happen in the 70s, because there's a cottage industry of filling in the blanks on what we didn't figure out in classic D&D. It just is. Countless blogs and YouTube channels dig into this topic. But the Bro SR found multiple keys to unlock this game and worked out how to make them work together to do something extraordinary. A lot of people, there's debates on this. A lot of people have said that nobody played like we did back in the day. We have a lot of vocal opponents that have said that. Now, Griff has now come out and said, "Oh no, you're basically running D&D the way that
Dave did. Dave Arneson. Yeah, he says you guys are more of a Blackmore." Than Bronstein.
That's such a new assertion, and it's coming from somebody who knows things that nobody else knows. That I don't know quite what to feel about that yet, because I've certainly never made that claim myself. So we don't know how much. Oh well, no, we do know. But that's a long topic. There's things I've been doing with Traveler that I'm sure nobody has done. And these session Bronsteins are a different thing. So I want to share one thing that we found out, and I can do it succinctly, that nobody knew, that was not written down before. It's a new development. And the reason I'm telling you this is because we are pioneers of the hobby too. We have spent 4 years experimenting, playing games constantly, developing these ideas, figuring out how to articulate and talking about them on YouTube shows and on blogs. And we put a lot of work in this. And now, at the exact moment when suddenly we've been vindicated, when suddenly people are like, "Oh my gosh, I thought these guys were jerks, but I think what they're doing actually works and it's really fun." Right now, in the moment of our success, suddenly suddenly somebody comes out and says, "Oh no, you don't get to have what you've built now. You need to like change the name. You need to do it differently, or you're doing it wrong, or you little redheaded girl with your little YouTube channel, like you didn't play a bronze, like all this weird stuff." I don't. Can we talk about respecting the pioneers of the hobby and include us in the people that get respected? I'm just throwing that out there.
I think it's fair because I wish I could. I mean, I think he knows, but I mean, I wish I could tell Griff, like, look, nobody's doing this except the Pro SR guys. I mean, it was fascinating for me to like see it in Secrets of Blackmore, but I naturally didn't have the inclination to play a Bronstein game. Who knows? Maybe in the future I will, but. It seems like you guys are the ones kind of keeping the flame alive, and it seems like all we're arguing over is kind of like just a little bit of respect. That's why I'm wondering if both sides can just kind of give a little, maybe we can have peace here, and Griff can make money. When he publishes the Bronstein book, you can kind of recommend it, unreservingly, and you can who knows, maybe down the road you write a book on your take on the Bronstein.
Well, why is this game different? Why is this game different? Now, Diplomacy was a game that came out in the 50s, I think. And Louis Pulsifer, who is a major figure in the RPG magazines, I know him personally. We were friends before I discovered one-to-one time. But no, he got his start in the 70s by creating Diplomacy variants. And if you played a Diplomacy variant, everyone would say, "Oh, we're playing Diplomacy." Does playing Diplomacy on a different map mean you're not playing Diplomacy? No, it doesn't. It's still basically the same game because you've got the same basic game concept. It's a variant. So there are variants of games. There are game designs that are original and unique and that are landmark games in the history of game design. And then there are variants of those games. And you can see an example of this with the Bronstein over on, is it Arnie Con or Dave Con? I don't know which one, maybe both. But Wesley ran Bronstein. Bronstein was not the end of the development of the idea. This is a place where I would disagree with Griff. Bronstein was the initial prototype. Okay? It was the initial prototype. It's not the end-all, be-all of the idea. It's merely the first example of it. And very quickly, very shortly thereafter, I think the fourth one that they ran was called Banania, set in the Banana Republic. That's the one where Dave Arneson became the CIA.
CIA. Yeah.
It's a legendary win. But like that is listed on the con schedule as a Bronstein variant. Okay. So if I called Banania a Bronstein, is that disrespecting Wesley? No, because, Wesley had a hand in that terminology. Now, is Wesley the only person in the world that can make a Bronstein variant? Let me think. Oh, wait a minute. Dave Arneson made a Bronstein variant, and it was a medieval Bronstein. He called it a medieval Bronstein. So Dave Arneson didn't come up with a new name. He didn't call it a Dave Steen. He didn't call it an Arnestein. He called it, this is a Bronstein, except it's a medieval Bronstein. And when they did the Wild West one, they got kind of clever with that one. They were like, oh, you know what? Let's do one that's the Wild West. And wait, you know what? We'll call it a brown stone. Well, it's a brown. So it's a play on words now. And now here's where it even gets even more interesting. If I look at TSR products, there are products that TSR released that we will call them RPGs today. We will classify them as RPGs today. I think I suspect that if you looked on a website like RPG Geek, I don't know for sure, but I'm just suggesting, if you looked at that, those games, they would be classified as RPGs. These games that TSR produced. And the examples I'm going to give you are Boot Hill and
Gangbusters.
Gangbusters. These two games. These are not conventional RPGs. If you look at the rules and what they say, they are fundamentally different types of games from what we think of as conventional RPGs. If you read specifically the second edition of Boot Hill, if you've played in Bronsteins with the bros, if you've invented one yourself and ran it with your friends as part of your continuing campaign, and if you look at the Boot Hill rules of the 1979, so it came out concurrently with the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide, and it has Gygax's name on the cover. You will see in the pages of this small rule book a description of things that anyone that's run a Bronstein would know about Bronsteins. So in 1979, TSR, not Dave Arneson, not somebody from Blackmore, TSR is putting out a product that is a fundamentally different sort of game from an RPG that has all the qualities and the design concepts of a Bronstein in it. Bronstein did not end with Dave Wesley. It only began. And if Boot Hill and if Gangbusters is a part of the history of the Bronstein form and its ideas, then I am just as much a part of that history as the people that designed those games, as Dave Arneson, and as Dave Wesley himself. And I deserve some respect too.
Yeah, I mean, I
Is
see
that a mic drop? What was that?
Yeah,
What'd you just do there?
It did sound like a mic drop.
What'd you just do there?
Right, Snake Oil Sean, 5 memberships. Thank you very much, buddy. Much appreciated. Yeah, it did sound like a mic drop. No, it's well said, and yeah, I can see your point of view. Look, like I said, nobody would be. I don't want to say nobody would know these things existed, but they wouldn't be currently played right now the way they are with you guys. So I think you do deserve like a collective feather in your cap. Yeah, I mean, you kind of summed it up well. I wish Griff Morgan luck when he does publish the Bronstein book. I will definitely get it. But it's also kind of fun to see kind of like what you're doing with like your Traveler Bronstein and all that. Let me ask you something. When you play like Traveler, that is such a huge like universe. Do you use like any special tools? Because we played Traveler. I was actually a player in it. And our DM found this huge like wiki of literally like every freaking planet in the Traveler universe. Do you bother yourself with any of that? Or is it just pretty much kind of focused on what like the players in front of you are doing and that's it?
Yeah, I definitely don't use any of that stuff. My campaign right now is about approximately 8 sessions old, more or less. And it has 3 planets in it. Okay, right now. And I know that 2 of those planets are next to each other or one jump away from each other by space yacht, because that happens. And so I know if I ever drew the subsector map, I knew I would have to draw it that way. But I don't. The other planet that's in the game was where I started another party. I don't know where that planet is in relation to those 2 that I've already introduced. So I do just in time setting development, and like
makes sense.
Even the world map of the world that we're on, Planet Moonshine, right now. I never drew the continent map. I know what's on the world, but I never laid down what the exact relation of everything was. And that fluidity, that not tying everything down. See, I'm the opposite of Alexander McChris. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not autistic, and I'm not as smart as him. So I run games.
No, that guy's scary smart.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So I have a different technique of running games to compensate for my lack of intelligence. And this just in time free, like, don't nail something down until you have a scenario in mind that it makes it worth it to nail something down.
I mean, like we kind of said earlier about like zero prep. That's it's kind of how I just run games now. It's like never too far ahead because you don't know, if they're going to throw you a curveball or anything. Now sometimes they'll commit to something and you're like, okay, I can kind of start thinking along these lines now.
They always back out of it.
Well, I tell you, these guys will tell you, like in ours, they had to go. They were going on this huge expedition up north. I had some things ready because I'm like, all right, then most likely they're going to they're going to go through this, at least partially through this dungeon that I prepared up in the snow. Took forever to get there, half a year in game time. But I also wasn't afraid to put some treasure literally right, because this was an untouched city. And there were 4 statues with like gems in their eyes, and these things were gigantic. And they they literally got the gems, and keep in mind they were tasked with mapping this dungeon as best they could, this city, and they were like, let's just tell them, this is as far as we got. And they're having this discussion. They're like, look, we can walk out of here with as very rich men and women, and we don't have alive. And yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, part of me is like, I don't want to say I was like disappointed. It was just interesting. And then I was like, you know what? If I was them, I'd have probably done the same damn thing.
Yes, right.
Our greediest person in that campaign, and it drives me bonkers that she denies it, was our cleric.
Mrs. D. She's talking about my wife, Mrs. D.
She actually rubbed her hands when she talked about all the money. And then she denies, like, I wasn't that greedy. You were 1,000,000%. She was more greedy than our stereotypical 2 greediest players. One of them that wasn't playing that session, and Gavin Morgan, and the other one was Stern, who is also an extremely greedy character. She was more greedy than him, and then it drives me bonkers that she just won't say yes. For a moment, I broke character and got really greedy.
That was funny.
Yeah, we've been married for 30 years, so I'm used to that kind of stuff. What? I never said that.
I never said that.
Comes with the territory.
Yes.
So I kind of do. I'm beginning to embrace that, and I think all DMs, look, if you're starting out, I understand that you're kind of petrified when it happens, but I'm to the point now. I've done it so long. I actually kind of love it. I'm like, oh, these guys are doing something I didn't count on. I love this.
No, well, this is where the zero prep comes from. Is like you just let go. You're like that. They always have more fun doing what they want to do than what you've decided they should do, and so at some point you're just like, okay, you just like, all right, let me just adjudicate whatever it is that you want to do. And then they have way more fun that way.
I'll say this. I haven't been playing the whole time that Double D's been running the campaign. I don't think I can honestly say we were ever, I never felt railroaded into something.
No.
There is a time every once in a while where, we'll go to it's like he wanted us to be in, I don't know what it was called, but like the afterlife or whatever. It was a campaign filled with like ghouls, and we were tethered.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
like, I don't think we were railroaded, but it was like, he definitely wants to use some of these undead characters. We get it.
I think there was a story reason.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah. But yeah. Then, like I said,
the deal with the hag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't ever feel like we were railroaded into doing something. Where in other games, like Stern, sometimes we have been railroaded to have to do something, but that was early in his DMing.
Well, well, first of all, I'll pick this up because I do want to get Jeffro. You kind of inadvertently commented on this. So this is something we can pick up on. Dark Knight of Hibernia, €5.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is like your
10th
one, right?
And then the rest of you guys too. I mean, good Lord, Snake Oil, Sean, all the rest. Thank you. The reason I wanted to have multiple DMs is so that I can see things from a PC's perspective.
Yep.
PC see things from the DM's perspective. Yeah.
Amen.
I like to get in front of the screen sometimes just for that very reason. All right. So I had a couple of things ready for you.
Awesome.
as you can tell.
I was waiting for this.
But most of it, we covered. It was just in case it came up. And, but I think this is kind of when you were talking about Call of Cthulhu, lots of globe trotting. How does a 2-month trip? Okay. This is kind of the one-to-one time, play other parts. You kind of did that. There's your douche-opolis. All right. All right, so here's the Orient Express. and you're like, this was the best adventure of all time, not because of how it played, but because of how fun it was to read. I kind of like, I'm reading between the lines here and saying you're probably not a fan of these kind of games where, for lack of a better word, you are on a bit of a railroad. I mean, maybe a good DM can kind of, ad lib a little bit, but let's face it, the world's ending and certain things need to be gotten and all that stuff. How do you feel about games like Call of Cthulhu and like Orient Express, Massive Nyarlathotep, and all that stuff?
No, yeah. Well, like you like the really long arguments, and someone just replies, I'm sorry that happened, or I'm happy for you. That's my response to the giant railroad books. It's like, I ain't gonna read. Why would I read that stuff when I can read a real book by like a top tier author? Like, I'm just not gonna do it. RPGs in that form are like a sub literature that's lower than the lowest form of it's lower even than fan fiction. Okay,
but isn't it a case of look, some people are like, hey, I want to go back to the 20s. I don't mind kind of sitting in a car and getting a seatbelt put on me. I'll tolerate a little bit of railroadiness.
Nobody
because
likes
I think it'll be fun. Isn't
Nobody
there a little
likes
bit of that though?
The only reason that we can hypothetically imagine someone liking that is because it's very easy to imagine that they have no idea what the alternative is. But I guarantee you that real role-playing games run with the techniques that we are doing are hundreds of times more intriguing than what you get out of these railroads. Now, granted, not everybody can do it, and I don't mean that to be mean. I mean, like not everybody has the social skills or the intelligence or the math skills or the literacy skills to play the type of games that were developed in the late 60s and the early 70s in the Midwest. It's just how it is. Like, for instance, somebody was going off today on Shadow Dark, which I know it's a sacred cow now. Like, if you say something bad against Shadow Dark, then like that you're tempting fate. Like I think
that's a bit of a misnomer. We did that one last week.
But no, somebody was looking at the writing in it, and it was like, my gosh, this writing it's like at the third grade level or something, and it's really bad. And it's like, wow, yeah. So I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but I can't remember.
I mean, it's fair. Like, look, you're a pretty smart guy. You're a pretty
literate
guy.
That's what it is. But the point is that not everybody's at the same level, and you need to dumb things down a lot to reach people, to sell things, which is why games have gotten dumber decade over decade. They've gotten stranger and simpler. So yeah, if you play the games the way that the people in the late 60s and early 70s, the way they did it, it's too hard. It's too hard a thing to be able to market it. To be able to market it en masse, to be able to turn it into an industry. So, like the stuff that we've discovered as the Broest are, it's never going to be something you can sell because it's just the audience is just too limited.
A little too esoteric. I think I heard somebody say that it might have been like Adam Carolla or something. He was talking about like inaugural addresses over time and the grade level they were aimed at. Like Andrew Jackson's was aimed at like 22nd grade would be the equivalent. So like double PhD level. Teddy Roosevelt was like, if it wasn't, it was like at least like college level. And then you start getting like nowadays, it's like Obama.
This ties right
like
into it.
8th grade.
And like the Lincoln Douglas debates are really entertaining. Like it's good. It's a good argument. It's really, it's like pop the popcorn. They go hard.
Yeah. Right? Surly says average high schooler in America these days only has a 4th grade reading ability. Yeah. Look, my wife is a teacher. She sees it. She tries to do her best. But look, when you shouldn't be having, you shouldn't learn your love of reading from a teacher. You can, and it's fine. But I mean, that stuff should be incubated in the home. Wiley Dudkevich, he said Shadow Dark, left eye twitch. Jeez. Pretty soon you guys are going to be sparring with the Black Lodge guys. Dark Knight of Hibernia, €5. As someone who has played in a lot of LOO. What is LOO?
I don't know what that is.
With new school DMs.
Dark Knight, let us know.
Yeah, I can tell you Playing literature RPGs is as painful as pulling your own teeth out. Yeah, what is LOO? I think
he's gonna hit it up.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when it pops
It's
up.
probably ran out of room there. That'll be like the Rosetta Stone there for that super chat. Maybe we can revisit it. But yeah, I mean, it's there's no doubt about it. Collectively, we're getting dumber. You will not make a ton of money these days appealing to a PhD crowd for a commercial product. But
Lord of Olympus.
That's what AD&D is.
Lords of Olympus.
So,
okay,
AD&D is written on the college level. I mean, it really is.
Yep. Thank you, Dark Knight Hybrid. Yeah, Lords of Olympic, Ember Diceless for Greek myth. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. AD&D. I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody talks about Gary's like dense text and high Gygaxian and gentle reader and all that stuff. But
it's technically Vancian. He channels Jack Vance when he writes that.
Well, that was his favorite author, wasn't it? I mean,
I think so. And and he, Vance is cited in the front of the books, as a major player in it.
Off-Grid Gaming has been a member for a couple months. Thank you very much. Bronsteins are a part of the zeitgeist. Let it be. Well, I'm willing to let it be. Like I said, I just see a lot of wasted energy when people. And look, I've been part of that wasted energy, so I'm gonna endeavor to do better from now on.
Well, it was never not fun. Okay.
Yeah,
it was never not fun.
Yeah, it got a little testy at times, but I can always kind of say, like, I kind of saw like where I could kind of see you working a little bit. I part of me always did kind of appreciate that. So I'm actually kind of glad now that we did this. Again, thank you, Harmony, for suggesting it, because seems like we do have a lot more in common.
You gotta have a lot more in common than you guys think.
Yeah, exactly.
Or thought.
Yeah,
thought.
That's usually the case. So we'll definitely. I know one thing I want to ask you too. Are you a Hammer horror fan?
Oh man, I love Hammer horror.
I kind of thought so. I think I saw one of your tweets before, and I'm like, oh, that even probably softened everything even more. I love Hammer horror. I have
anything with Cushing in it, anything with Lee in it, and the vampire women. Oh my gosh, Ingrid Pitt.
Yeah, some of those. You know what? They're so good. Like after years of resisting, my wife is finally now, every time we'll go out and have a drink or something, she, I'll be like, all right, it's 10, 11, you want to go home? She's like, yep, Hammer horror, right? It's like we'll get home and she's like, throw on a Hammer horror. So she's seen like most of the major ones, like all the Dracula, all the Frankenstein, a couple others here and there, Plague of Zombies, all that stuff. She loves them. Great movies. What is your as a DM when you're playing like a D&D style game? Do you have like a favorite monster that you kind of always lean into to throw at the players?
Yeah, white apes with forearms. Yeah, those are the best. When you use the AD&D grappling rules, okay, on the players, okay, that's and the players can run away, but somebody's not running away. Do you
have to block off about 15 minutes of time for every grappling attack? Is it that bad, or is it better than we think?
It's like anything else. Once you get the hang of it, it's not as slow as you think. But really, the value of those grappling rules is the imaginative things that happen with it. The combat, it's different. It's not. Everybody complains about D&D being, I just take turns rolling D20, checking the hit matrix and seeing if I hit and subtracting damage. And the grappling rules in AD&D are not that. They are completely different. They have their own feel. And, when you have overbearing and pummeling and grappling, and it's a different system, like in the same way that psionics is a different system. There's just more there to explore from the topology of the gameplay dynamics that come through the decision making. It feels like a different type of combat because it is a different type of rule mechanics. And so every other game system after AD&D said, oh no, let's take psionics and hand-to-hand combat and weapon combat and use the same system for all of it. And it seems like a good idea, but I think, in my opinion, AD&D is just more fun. It's more vivid. It's more exciting. It's more compelling. Yes, you have to stop the game and wade through some of those rules sometimes, and that's a lot of people aren't going to do that. But like the payoff for when you do is a much richer experience.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the game. We didn't play a ton of it. I was kind of like you in the 80s. We would do things in fits and starts, and generally it was always like a pre-made like adventure, like the Giant series or the Drow or something like that. But me and my buddy ended up doing a lot more Star Trek, a lot more James Bond, because after a while we were the only ones who were playing. Dark Knight of Hibernia, €2. Hammer Horror Films are the reason clerics exist. Based, yes. Father Sandor from Dracula, Prince of Darkness, a great character. Played by what's his name? Keir was his last name. A fantastic character. Well, tell me a little bit about Cirvosa Magazine, because we all know the kind of book primer that you have,
right?
In Pylon Press. Tell us a little bit about Cirvosa Magazine.
All right, so P. Alexander was we were writing about D&D before I started my Appendix N project, and I don't know how we became friends, but it just happens, and so I started the Appendix N project in, I think, 2014, and I was releasing 2,000. I would read a Appendix N book a week and post a 2,000-word essay a week. And the response was incredible. The first thing that happened was nobody knew that this would happen, but everything online then about these authors. First off, there were some authors that weren't covered at all from Appendix N. There was no material on the internet at all about some of the books I was writing about. I was the first person on the internet to really talk about them, it seemed like. I would look. I would Google and look and hit up all the sites and stuff. But the main ones, all of them were framed from the perspective of, oh, well, this author who wrote in 1930 something, Lovecraft especially, Robert E. Howard, and so on. But like, oh, this author wrote then, and we just didn't know right and wrong back then the way we do today, and you kind of have to read around the material. So the tone of the writing about Appendix N books was like as if it was a stinky piece of underwear, that you're going to put into the garbage or something, right? It was not a full-throated endorsement of how awesome this stuff was. So I wrote the full-throated endorsement. I didn't put any caveats in of like, oh, well, this person was a sexist, racist, homophobe, and we need to hate them for that when we read their stuff. I would just never do that. I wouldn't want anyone to have to experience that, even if they were dead. I know that I myself didn't like it when I was subjected to that kind of a treatment, and so. But even at that time when I wrote it, that I was like, why would I treat an author that way? So I only talked about how awesome these works were and how inspiring these works were, and how you could apply them to run a better D&D game. And it was magical. There was a groundswell, because there was a lot of people who wanted to read science fiction fantasy that weren't classical liberals, that weren't left wing, that weren't SJWs, that weren't college academics, communists, or whatever. And first, I talked about these books in the way that they would talk about these books, without having to like apologize for enjoying it. And then two, I was talking about books that they had never heard of, and then shortly thereafter, there was a lot of people who were like, and it started as a joke. P. Alexander was like, you know, write a better story using these techniques from a pulp novel, right? Or I can't. He was more clever than that, but it was something to that effect on Twitter and of that time, and it was a joke. But then, like, everybody thought it was funny, and everybody, and then a lot of people started taking it seriously because, like, you know, if you sit down and look at it, you're like, wait, these pulp stories are more literate than what we have today. They're better written. They're more entertaining. Like, why wouldn't you copy this stuff? But at the same time, pulp in the boomer world was synonymous with bad, was synonymous with bad writing. And so there was, so that was why it was funny, was because no one had ever said that pulp was a good idea. So in the same way that Bronstein is a hot term right now, 10 years ago, pulp became the hot term. And none of the magazines on the shelf at the bookstore covered really what what the stories were like when they were adventure stories, when they were designed to be entertaining, when men were the target audience of the stories, men who didn't like put pronouns in their bios, for instance.
Right.
Anyways, long story short, there was a literary movement that came out of that, and Cirvosa Magazine was their firstest with the mostest, and then later Pylon Press kind of came in. They don't do the quantity that Cirvosa does, but they did soak up some of the best authors. I'll mention specifically Sky Hernstrom and J.B. Jackson. They're two of the best living authors in the fantasy and science fiction space. I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
And you guys can find these in the if you look in the description of this live stream, you should see the links to check these out, and please do. Very fascinating. Well, we're coming up on about 2 hours. Boy, that flew by, didn't it?
It sure did.
Well, how about we cut it off here so we can leave something for the future? Because I definitely would like to talk to you again.
All right. Right. Well,
we definitely want you to come back.
Oh, well, thank you. I really liked your questions. You didn't ask the same questions that everybody else asked, so I didn't have to like repeat the same thing over and over. That was really cool. It's obvious that you've been paying a lot of attention.
Yeah, I've been kind of following. I have been kind of, once I wanted to do this interview, I knew there was some things I wanted to ask, that probably certain people have, but I also wanted to find out just a little bit more that maybe people didn't know about you. So we'll definitely have you on at some point in the future. Certainly when you're ready to release your book.
Yeah, finish that book.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
finish the book and hit me up.
Game of Thrones, let's go.
Right? Yeah.
We'll definitely help you there. And like I said, I think it's always a good idea to talk to people. That's my new philosophy. And look, if you're not on board with it, I understand. Go in peace. But that's the way I'm going to conduct business from now on. Disco Barbarian, $2. We didn't even get to the dancing. Great discussion. Yeah, we'll save the swing dancing for
darn.
I know, it's a total disappointment.
That's the teaser.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, Jeffro, thank you very much. Any last words? Anything you want to say before you take off?
I mean, you know that this was a very big deal, and it means a lot to me, and so obviously I just have to say thank you. I mean, you could tell from the blowback that this was a tremendous event, that there's a lot of things happening socially right now, and so just thank you. This is awesome.
The chat is actually blowing up of what a great conversation this was. So
awesome.
Everyone is,
as an interviewer, that's all you want.
Yeah.
Get the best out of your guest, and I think we got your best tonight, buddy. So, all right, thank you so much, Jeffro. We'll talk again soon, buddy. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Adios.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye. Always got it. Ooh, look at that. Howard Hughes.
Jiminy Christmas.
$50. Thank you so much.
It's like that scene in that Christmas movie, Jimmy Stewart, like Christmas is saved or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Appreciate the discussion. All good show. Very good interview, Double D and Jeffro. Cheers. Thank you so much, Howard. Very much. All you guys who super chatted.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight was on
35 times. I went and counted.
Was it
cow.
35 times? Had to be close.
Great googly moogly.
But we appreciate the ones who do it all the time, and the ones who just help out by doing it once, because it's all you either want to
Yeah.
or all you can afford. Thank you
Click
guys
that
so much.
like button on your way out tonight.
Yeah, you can help the show
Yeah.
just by hitting the like,
There
sharing
you go,
it.
Chris Miller. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
As I was saying it, he was typing it.
Share it out on Twitter too. If you guys that are on Twitter, share it out. Tell everybody this was a
Read
good
one of
good
those. I like at the beach, you'll just be laying out and there'll be that plane with a banner behind it advertising for some
Yeah.
taco night at some random bar. Do that.
I miss that.
Yeah. Just throwing it out there.
Well, debrief here. What'd you guys think of Jeffro? Crazy Mouse.
I gotta
Rogan?
tell you, I enjoy the conversation a lot.
Yeah.
I guess some of the mystique is certainly gone. It was a very good conversation.
Yeah, that's like I said, you lose kind of the him being the quote unquote other, and I'm sure the same from his point of view. But I'd much rather kind of just talk, like I said, to someone, be like, oh shit, I like that too, or oh yeah, or maybe I don't like
It's got
that.
a lot
but,
in common, a lot more in common than maybe people think.
oh, for sure, yeah, for sure.
Earlier in the show, I made a comment like it's the same game. It's just different names and stuff. And someone's like, absolutely not. Really? In this game, you want to roll under that number.
Yeah,
but in this one, catch this, guys. It's the same rules. You just want to roll over.
yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's totally
That's not the
different.
same game.
I mean, we're all trying to have fun at the table.
Yeah.
And I think I just kind of avoided talking. I don't know, just partly because I don't want to be involved in a bunch. I don't want to go on Twitter every single day and it's always a different feud, or it's always like a different.
We did high school.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanna do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I like I keep saying, I'm like, it's like Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit.
Yep.
And then I kind of started feeling, I'm like, you know what? Kind of by actively avoiding, Jeffro, and other folks, I'm probably causing more more drama in some ways. So I think most people understand. Hey, Patty, we're praying for you, buddy.
Good night, Patty.
Yep.
Love you. Take care, man. Patty's a good dude. So I don't know. It was a good. Like I said, it flew by.
There's our next guest.
Oh, Cal. Yeah, that's my dream. I don't know if I can capture that. That's like getting a tiger by the tail.
Oh, wait. Well, ANN wants this guest.
Oh, I was just about to say that.
The former, never. The latter, probably, probably never. But there's at least probably an infinitesimal chance that Bob would come on. But he doesn't do live streams, I don't think. He just does. Just like Ginny, they just do straight videos because
Maybe no one asks him. Be like that hot girl in school. The reason I didn't have a date, no one
no
asked.
one asked me.
Yeah, everyone just assumed that I didn't, that I had a boyfriend or whatever. I didn't.
Yeah, Chris Miller, Jeffro did seem kind of cringe a while back on Harmony's channel. Yeah, I kind of thought so too at the time, but he's butted heads with folks on X, but he seemed perfectly reasonable. I think,
I
and this
agree
is
with that.
This is kind of where you have to understand it. Some of it is performative.
Well, here's why. She's here.
Yeah. He had to be extra mean to me because I'm a girl and he didn't want to look like a simp. Yeah. I think there was a little bit of that too. Yeah.
Remember the
I think it
TV
was
show
a
The
little
Pickup
bit,
Artist
yeah.
when he was negging people?
Yes, naked. Yeah, I think that's what I can compare it to. But I think all is good there. I think they're fine with each other. You took a look at Lord Otter.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, well,
Let's interview the grifter.
that would get some eyeballs. Hey, Fat Matt, let's talk.
Only on Patreon.
Ginny D on Double D, Triple D. Yeah, there we go. I started out my
She's a
channel.
singer. Like she has
A
like
singer?
Yeah, she has like songs. Like back in the day. Like
How did I not know this?
I don't know. It's my job to know this shit. But anyway,
And you're good at it.
Earning his
like
pay.
she is. She has like songs out on like some of them are like nursery rhymes or something like that. It's not all. It wasn't about like role playing. I don't think.
All right, we can go through one minor thing, then do a little quick. But I have to see if 1 second here. I need control here. Crazy
got it.
Mouse, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. All right, so go through all the stuff I had prepped for Jeffro. I do like he has Bender as his. There we go. Yeah, this is. I don't know if you. I know you guys didn't. That's why I wanted to show it. This is from the new player's handbook. People are talking about this.
Oh, I've seen a bunch of stuff on the internet about a bunch of their art, and it's just appalling.
You're damn right.
It is all of it is appalling.
Working on that hall pass from Mrs. D.
Ginny D's real name is Ginny.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Double D. I don't need to. It's like she promotes herself as a musical artist.
Still, you'd be surprised at what these people will use against you,
All right,
saying
fine.
like he died. Like
Yeah, she
he
sings
he
children's
doxed
music.
me.
Yeah, she releases videos. I think she has an album.
Oh, there you go. Ginny D, the crooner. I'll check out some of those afterward. Yeah, again with the food. It says no one of consequence. This is all they think.
Where's
that
the
D&D
Where's
is.
the date? I mean, is this from their cookbook or is this the player's handbook?
It's a player's handbook, right, guys?
Unbelievable.
Going to the Sizzler, says Cyrix. By the way, thank you for the burrito money, Cyrix. I did see that.
Yeah, that was because he called me Danger. He's like, Danger Mouse, fix the Double D's back screen. And I'm like, I saw it, and you were fixing it at the same time. I'm like, Danger Mouse?
Who's Danger
My cousin?
Have we? Now, if you guys look, this is D&D.
Is it?
Well, this is D&D according to Wizard. Do you see what's on that table?
Yes.
I'll give you a hint. Daughter D rolls it at work.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not Doobs. Sushi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, Grognar TX, exactly. Why is there sushi? This is so fucking stupid.
Well, in Game of Thrones, there was a coffee cup.
But that was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
This is on purpose.
But it was indicative of like things falling apart, you know. It's like I couldn't imagine a coffee cup in seasons, 1 through 5 of that show.
There's also that water bottle in the end season as well, if you remember.
Yes. Yeah. Good. You want to pick those up?
Yeah. Jeff from Demcar, Disco. Hold on. There's that one.
Are those I like whoopers, but I think you meant whoppers or quarter pounders on the left. Oh yeah. Good Lord. That's so stupid.
There is a taco right there. Right there is a taco.
Chick in the back, says Matt. Or I'm sorry, Disco Barbarian, $2. The chick in the back is giving a handy. I didn't catch that, but I think you're absolutely right.
They got shrimp cocktail.
Look at that. She's given like a reach around. Do you see that on the left there, back left?
Yeah, well, this
okay,
person
all
here
right.
is taking care of themselves.
Yeah, the tall elf in the middle is
Taking
like
care of themselves.
yeah,
Slipping up on an O face there, isn't she?
yeah, flicking the bean. The other
That's the taco reference right there.
Jesus. Oh,
Is that fruit skewers there? Those fruit skewers? I can't.
Right
tell.
here.
Yeah.
They look like pirouettes
No,
from Pepperidge
over
Farms.
on the other side of the turkey there, whatever the frick that is.
Where are you at? Right here?
Yep. Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
yeah. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You got fruit skewers here.
Disco Barbarian. Now that's a hero's feast. I can't. Yeah, I mean, I guess if in real life it might be, but
Yeah, you got tacos and shrimp and quarter pounders all on the plate there. We got croissant deals on
Shrimp
there.
cocktail, sushi, tacos,
Those cookie straw things that the French like to eat, or at least my wife likes to eat.
Pepperidge Farms pirouettes.
Yeah, that's bingo. That's it.
got some kind of a bird
There's
there
the-
laid
the-
out.
Those are the little rice cakes with the seaweed wrapped around it there, whatever frick they call it.
Mochi? No.
No, it's not mochi. It's little rice cakes there. It's got the little green things right next to the teapot. It just is like, this wants me to go and get something to eat, not to kill a dragon. Like,
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, Snake Oil Sean says $5. As impressive as it looks, the armor is not comfortable to party in. Yeah, it's like kind of have to make. I'll occasionally call out the party, like, all right, you guys are going around town, right? You're not in your armor, right? And I think by now everybody's like, of course not. It's like we don't roll in our armor 24/7.
But it's good to ask.
It's good to ask, but when you're being invited to someone's house, you don't show up with your sword and be like going in full combat gear.
Well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I bring my sword?
Yeah, Aaron, Immortal Rising, guest last week. Good to see you, Aaron. Yeah, I believe he said adequate amounts of generic diversity and inclusion, comrade. Exactly. So stupid.
Umbrella in the drink says disco.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get rid of that one.
Yeah. Umbrella in the drink says disco. Yep. Thank you, disco. I think he is at 35 now. Yeah. I've been kind of going light on this just because we hit it so hard. Because this has been around, like it's been public for a little bit, but I don't know.
The guy that looks like Bilbo Baggins. It's like, who wants a hand job next? Me.
Yes. I do. Get the tweezers out.
Wow, it's just a mess of food. And you know what? And there's the tablecloth.
Yeah, the
There is
table.
a
Yeah, there's so many bad things that that you don't even think about the lunacy of a tablecloth in D&D times. Good Lord. I don't know what to say. This is not inspirational. I think somebody in the chat said, what's the problem with it? I mean, I beg to differ, with all due respect. It's fucking stupid. Like Jeffro was talking about how we're dumbing everything down. This is what we're dumbing everything down to. Everybody's Instagram where they photograph their food. Like this is just a version of that. It's aimed for the same people. It really is. It doesn't inspire you to go read something like Robert E. Howard or Leiber or Vance or any of those guys.
There's no risk and adventure in this. There's nothing that this doesn't say a band of adventurers coming back celebrating their horde, and there they are, with their tankards splashing all over the place, or they're licking their wounds,
Yeah, that's what I was picturing too. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, like a couple of dudes, bruised up at like clinking glasses. Yeah, that's I could get behind that. As long as it's not like DEI, bullshit. Tacos, Patrick Demo, $5. Tacos, sushi, and a tankard with a cocktail umbrella. JFC. Yep.
Chris Miller writes, pineapple in the front foreground. Did you ever hear that thing about pineapple and how it's like fire protectant?
Oh, I did not.
Fire protectant.
Yeah. Someone took they just cut a bunch of pineapple, put the skins with the pineapple part on the outside, put it on like a piece of wood and made a shield out of it. And even though it wouldn't stop a sword, it stopped like a blowtorch.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
So it would be just like pineapple armor would be like perfect to fight a dragon.
Yeah, or a fire element.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Pineapple armor. Damn. Cyrix DX.
That's the one who thought, hey, Danger Mouse.
Yeah,
Paul is 1,000,000% forgiven.
He's our buddy Leo. We love Cyrix. Good to see Shark here too, you guys. The only one using chopsticks is the Asian elf. Solid token racism. Yeah, exactly.
Well, these people can't be racism. They're racist. They're fighting against racism.
Oh yeah. Is that the one who's flicking the bean
With the chopsticks?
with the chopsticks?
No, that's right in the middle there. She has the O face. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah. She's got the O face going on and flicking the bean. You're right. She's got chopsticks in her hand there.
I mean, that has to be on purpose, right? I mean, her hand is literally at crotch level.
And that's why the taco's right there.
But
they're
fuck
making
yeah.
But they're making it look like that elf guy or whatever that is, is summoning
it.
that
Sending
taco
it.
to him.
But there's like that's what I mean. We become so crude that we have to do this kind of stuff. You know what I'll do? I'll put a taco in front of her, her hoo-ha.
That's for the pineapple thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, boy, learn something new every day. Pineapple armor. All right, when you guys go down to Adoria, start harvesting pineapples. We'll say it's in your character's knowledge.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, of course.
I read it on the Google. There ought to be like a sage in town. Just call him Google.
Yep.
Who'd you learn that from? Google.
God. It's one of those things that's just so expected now, and like I said, I almost don't want to even talk about it anymore. I mean, I'm sure I probably will, but it's like, yeah, you saw the covers, you saw some of the interior art, and it's how it's always like a slay queen. Yeah, this is just another brick in the wall, as they say. Off-grid gaming, $5 Canadian. Yeah, but can anybody tell me where the soy is for the sushi? Ooh, I can't see any. Oh, wait, never mind. Yep, they're soaking in it, as they used to say in that commercial. It's all around them. Oh, I didn't even realize there's the token brother. So there's no white males here, right, at all? I mean, I guess you'd say probably like the halfling is. I guess he'd technically be the white male.
Yeah.
Technically, he's a ginger, so
Ginger, yeah.
can't get much whiter than that, I guess.
United Colors of
Benetton.
yeah. Fuck. Josh Heil says it's AI generated. Might have used inspiration for it, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. They have artists that can pull this off and are sophomoric enough to put that little taco joke in there. Crafty Matt, sticking around, $5. D&D is no longer imagining adventure because lonely, solitary, still quarantining people need to imagine contact with others to role-play partying. Yeah, I think there is something to that. Maybe it doesn't come consciously, but maybe kind of subconsciously. Like, man, I wish I was having fun like these people. Kind of comes from the deepest parts of the brain because they literally can't comport themselves in public and have friends to get invited to something like this, or God forbid, host something like this. Dark Knight, thank you so much.
What a superstar tonight.
Yep, great job. Thank you very much. Good questions too. And again, thank you for supporting the channel. Same with Patrick Demo and all the others. This is like the sad and pathetic millennial fantasy Last Supper. They're celebrating the death of cis white male D&D. Patrick Demo. Yep. It's not for you, white guy, so why are you going to buy it?
Look deeper behind there. I agree with was it Travis?
About the torch?
No,
the
they're
kobold?
No, they're eating this in an actual dungeon.
Oh.
Looking.
Oh, are they?
Chris said, where did it go?
I guess so. Maybe it's a castle.
That there's a kobold near the torch in the back.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true or not. I can't.
Yeah, right, kind of behind the wall there. You see half of it. I could see how that would look like that. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Ready to make a sneak attack.
It's like they have all these Easter eggs. God, I hope that kobold is successful. I've never rooted for a kobold so much.
No, there should be 40 to 400 around the corner.
Hope he has
PK.
Hope he has a fucking scroll of time stopping, just kills them all. Boom, out of here. Like, you know, the kind of guy that would like this is that retard actual Jake who made another video. This a-hole won't stop talking about me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Corn boy, right?
Corn boy, yeah. and his woman. You know what she inadvertently, because I kind of teased her a little bit on Twitter, she inadvertently let slip that she has to cut.
She's a subscriber?
No. She has to cut down his videos and put them on YouTube. What happens is he streams on Twitch, and then he cuts them down for YouTube. But she actually does that for him. So not only is she a dumb, fat, ugly OnlyFans thought, who likes to be led around in a collar by a pothead retard who can only get hard by leading her around in a collar. He's so lazy that he won't even edit his own videos down. He's just like, oh, hey, babe, I've done the fucking hard stuff. Like getting high on the air and being like a third-rate Destiny. God, what a fucker. I wanted to do like a live stream. I'm going to do like a video because I got, like I said, I have all those goods on them. I'm just going to
throw it out there.
Just going to breathe and let's organize these thoughts, Double D. And,
breathe in air, blow out soup.
And the thing is, he made, yeah, exactly, yeah. He made that stupid poll asking about the ages of sexual thoughts.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, buddy. You're gonna live that one down forever. Yep. Disco Barbarian $5. It's the illustration of the hero's feast. They're sitting in the dungeon having a picnic. Yep. Exactly. Thank you again, Patrick. Delicious in dungeon. Meet deplorable in dungeon.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Grimlocked asks, who's Corn Boy? He's like a Twitch streamer called Actual Jake. On Twitter, I think he goes by Actual Corn. He literally is just a degenerate leftist moron. Like I say, he thinks he's just like the next. He's like a third-rate Destiny, but he wants to be like Destiny, the omni-liberal. But he's so lazy and kind of boring. Like he used to be like a bigger deal on Twitter or on YouTube when he was teamed up with whoever that person was. And now he's down to like I think 31,000 on YouTube. And his chick was like bragging about it, like, see, you don't have the amount of subscribers. It's like, honey, I think he had like, him and that dude had like 140,000 subscribers at one point, and now he's down to 30 something. Yeah, he's killing it. And trust me, I know how the ad revenue is parsed out, and I see the views on his videos. That's weed money for a week for him, honey. Not saying, I don't know what he makes on Twitch. I'm sure he does decent on super chats and all that, but. Snake Oil Sean, $5. If this image had the heroes looking beat up, like they just came from a fight, and the cleric creating the food with a spell, it could look awesome. Yeah, kind of like what me and Rogan were talking about. Like, yeah, the wild celebration afterwards.
Yeah.
Like in our world, that's what these guys are going to be doing. They made it out of the tomb of Michaelis intact, pretty much. They got the treasure. They got away
intact, but I think that there is a lot to unpack with our return.
Yeah,
I think that our clerics in for a. I don't know how you're going to play it, Double D. I mean, I know what I would do, but it's your campaign and.
All right, so if you guys want to know,
and it's your wife, so I don't know how you want to play it, but
well, I'm playing it like any other character because
then I got bad news for her.
Here's what happened. They go to the tomb of Michaelis. Michaelis was this old kind of politician, priest, kind of everything, who went off and became a bandit lord in the Five Keeps. He liked to fool around with the Cold Rider in the shadow world. Okay, so in his tomb, there were various things in which you had to go to the shadow world. And the last one was him saying, you've reached the end, essentially, to go beyond here, pay homage to the cult, disavow your gods.
Which was actually in the scripture that we had to read.
Yes.
Explicitly stated.
Twice, like more than once.
Yeah. Yeah. Explicitly stated. Disavow your gods and pay homage to pay fealty to the Cold Rider, which is like he's like the deity of the shadow world. Well, everybody did it. Every one of these guys did. And then my wife, who is a cleric of Koreakan, did it as well. So she's going through combat, trying to cast these spells. Sorry, dear, nothing happens. And she's like,
in game. I texted this to Double D. In game, my character is a 15-year-old boy, and he knows his place. He sits in the back until he's called upon, and he shares the credit when he has a success, and he takes the blame when there is a failure. My character was like, oh, we're all repeating this. Me as the player, I was like, I know what she's doing. This ain't good.
Right.
This isn't good at all.
Right. I think we all
But
thought that.
my character would not speak up and say, like, whoa, you shouldn't be doing this.
yeah, because you're 15 years old in the
15 years
game,
old
and like she's like an accomplished,
Cleric.
priestess, cleric. It would be like a snotty teenager, shushing.
No, see, Double D, I'm going to disagree with that. Because our life expectancy is so small, that would be like in our real world, like a 6-year-old freaking speaking up.
Yeah, saying, shush, mommy.
Yeah.
I got this. Yeah, she did it. And I'm like,
and she did it.
and
I
I think she was like, well, what, how else would I have gotten there? And I just shrugged my shoulders. I don't know.
Well, to get, you have to give.
I think that
there is a payment, but we'll see how it happens after that.
I wanted to tell her, like,
she could have waited.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say, impress me. You tell me how you would get there without doing that. I'm listening.
I don't know. I think Friday's going to be interesting.
Well, you have a cleric who can't heal anybody. Thankfully, nobody is at death's door right now.
I'm pretty bad.
She has lost. She lost
all her powers.
Yep.
And it's frightening. I would imagine that would be extremely frightening for a religious person, a cleric. That would be,
What's the first time I've ever had to do it? Cut somebody off from their god. Now she can get it back, maybe. We'll see. She might have to do an atonement quest.
Donate everything she just got.
She already planned on doing that, I think.
These guys are just going right on with this fucking feast. Like these guys, they're like so enraptured by this horror, this garbage.
They're too busy looking at the picture. Shut up, story time. We don't care.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't give a shit about this.
But everything I read, they're exactly right about everything.
Oh God, yeah.
Dildo Baggins. What was that?
Dildo Baggins. Look, if you like this, you're unironically just retarded. Yeah, you're just retarded.
Kristen
if you like
Patrick.
This. Chris Miller.
I found Waldo.
Waldo. All right. Let's might have to tell you what, we'll do a little tiny bit of auto enrolling.
A little bit. I can't miss dinner. Just a little bit.
Oh, you know what? Let's tell you what. Let's save it to next week then, because it was such a monumental. Sorry, you fans.
We can do a little bit. I'm just saying, no 10-15s tonight.
All right. Well, let's see. 9:25. All right. No, we'll literally do like 15, 20 minutes. Okay. That'll please the folks who like to watch a little bit. But I tell you, we'll have a hard out tonight, guys, at like 9:45. Hard out at 9:45. All right. Thank all of you guys for tuning in. Those of you that are just kind of here for the main body. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Jeffro. I did. Yeah, I think he's a interesting guy, and I like talking to interesting people. So Still think some of the Bro SR could use, a little bit of manner, going to Miss Manner's, school of finishing, but that's okay. We can all work on ourselves, and I am done. I'm done complaining about the Bro SR and all that stuff because it's usually a tempest in a teapot. And like I know Griff has some issues, but Griff is a big boy, and hey, hopefully Griff is okay with me talking. If he isn't, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk to who I talk to, and that's just the way it is. Life is too short.
That was a very good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was.
Yep. Thank you. It was mostly him. I just like to give people a chance to show everybody what they got. So
Chris Miller's out. Have a good one, Chris.
Good night,
Thank
yep,
you
we'll
for
see you,
everything
Chris. Yep.
tonight.
Yeah, and all you guys who are just here for that, you can take off now because we're just going to do a little bit of bonus time here.
If everyone's leaving and not hitting like, ouch.
Come on.
Hit that like
You
button.
wound
I'm
me.
seeing 106. It's embarrassing.
Come on.
You guys wound me. All right, we're going to do a little bit of a bonus time auto enroll, and honestly, just for 15 minutes, though. So here we go. To the rest of you, thank you all you guys who super chatted, gave donations, memberships. Eternally thankful, from the smallest to the biggest. I appreciate
They all count.
it.
They all count.
I do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Very generous.
All right, and you'll see me soon. Hopefully, you checked out my Red Sonja video that I just dropped yesterday. If you haven't, please do. I like it. I like doing stuff like that rather than just constantly complaining about Wizards of the Coast. I'll never stop, doing, videos like that. But still, I like mixing it up with some good. I got it. Patrick Demo, a couple of GPs for the road. Yep, gold pieces. Good night, fellas. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to go over to auto enrolling now for those of you that want to stick around. For everybody else, catch you on the flip side.
Rorik.
Shoot. Otto and Rorik. I did update his picture. There he is.
My guy looks too cartoonish now.
Yeah, I mean,
We're going to change that.
Yeah.
We're going to fix that.
Maybe can you work on
Absolutely.
with your AI skills? Because I think you have a better AI foo.
Yeah, I don't want my guy being a cartoon character who's half your. Look at your guy is put together with a big head. My guy looks like a midget. Cartoon.
Well, let me
character.
I thought he was a halfling.
We're gonna fix this.
let me make him a little. I think I can make him a little bigger. I mean,
Well,
we'll still do.
Not a cartoon.
Yeah, we'll still do a.
He's got such that smile. Look at that fucking smile.
That's the way it
That is
goes.
A white
Hey.
smile. Whose teeth?
Yeah,
There you go.
well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not bigger than him. He is my bodyguard. I don't need to be bigger than him. But
That looks proportional there, a little bit. It'll do for now until we can get you a new look. All right.
and we'll need one with different hair because remember I'm about to get a haircut.
Well, you get with Rogan there, and we'll figure out what you look like. All right. So last time, remember the guys robbed the Tower of Set in Port Prospera, but alas, Roland paid with his life. But the Otto and Soraya made off with the treasure.
Snake oil hit us again,
Snake oil. Good Lord, man.
Always very generous.
making it rain.
Thank you so much, buddy. Much appreciated. 5 memberships. Man. You guys are
Plus,
keeping...
he did that earlier tonight. too.
Yeah. I think 2 or 3 times. Keeping the train rolling. Mucho gracias. Now remember, all right, so you guys met up with Rorik, who's Rogan's new character. You see him there. I like the scale armor there. And you immediately hired him as your bodyguard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Soraya was a little like, okay. Now, you also ran into an old friend
Yes.
Aurora, who you came over here on the boat with.
Correct.
And she helped you out again because, well, Tharn is trying to track you down. At least he is, and who knows, maybe others. Him and a couple of guards stopped at the same halfway in point between Port Prospera and Stormhold. She kind of distracted him while you guys eased out into the night.
Malachi, that is Gary Busey.
Hell yeah. Somebody told me. And, all right, so she did her job. Now it's you three. You know what I'll do for Soraya? I'm going to put her, she's kind of a quasi, just for the moment
She's
at least.
part of us now.
Kind of the party. I'm going to put her a little lower. And maybe on. Oh, there she is. We'll there we go.
Oh, that's great. I get third billing.
You can have her. So, that'll be your.
I'll move her to the back.
Compensation.
I'll move her to the back. Oh wait, here we go. I can do that. I can do that right now. La, 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 up, and there you go. Put her in her place.
I'm not going to say I feel better about that, but I feel better about that.
We got some work to do. We got to fix this title up at the top.
Yeah.
We got some makeover to do. We got some homework.
I know.
Let's call it the AV team.
Yep. Hey, look, it was the interview of a lifetime with Jeffro. So, all right. So, what do you guys want to do? You're slipping out really in the middle of the night.
Yep. We have horses. We're out of here.
All right. Going on. I think you and her are doubled up on one.
That's correct.
Yeah. So she's.
Blech. Unless you want to ride with her.
I'm thinking she's still your lady. And
Travis says loose end is her.
Yes, that is her new name. I saw that too, Travis. Good night, Dice Tales.
Yeah, good night.
So as you guys are riding, she says she would only ride with you, Otto. Mm-hmm. She doesn't fully trust this new guy yet.
Understand.
And she's like, do you know that this guy could rob us in the middle of the night and take everything? I'm going to be powerless against him.
Well, I guess we'll just have to trust him. And Surly, I was thinking exactly on the same lines as you were. If this was a TV show, I think that the season ender was Roland dying and us getting out. You
could alternatively say, like, if you guys do make it to a boat and head north again, I mean, that would also be a logical point.
But this is like season 2 now.
Yeah, I will definitely get on changing that title.
Like that was like the cliffhanger.
But
like us jumping off that, or scaling down that tower of Set, getting here, and then season 2 opens with us at this tavern.
Yep.
Aurora shows up again. New characters.
All right, so you guys are. Is there anything you want to do other than just take the road to Stormhold? Did you want to do anything?
I just want to ride myself.
You got a new job, yeah. Otto, you're okay. Just
100%.
Okay. All right, so you leave in the dead of night, and she says it's going to take most of the next day. She thinks that maybe by the next evening you'll get there if you ride through the night and ride hard. So we can say that you do. It's a road between Stormhold and Port Prospera. It's the only road really. So there is constantly traffic on it, but you don't see any of the members of the Tower of Set or the cult of Set. And then finally,
I'm gonna step in real quick. Van is saying introducing new character means that the show is starting to fade. And I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree. You telling me that Breaking Bad faded when Gus Fring was introduced, or in Better Call Saul when Lalo was introduced? Absolutely not. This ain't no Oliver or Scrappy Doo
Scrappy
scenario.
Doo.
This isn't that.
Yeah, Rourke's not no Oliver.
Yeah, this
Scrappy,
isn't
dude.
that at all.
No one jumped the shark here.
Yeah.
And keep in mind too, Roland could have just said, "Away, thought, away," and then, all right, all of a sudden these guys are just robbing the tower themselves. They just kind of enlisted her help. All right, so it is, we'll say, like 6 o'clock next day, 6 in the evening.
Good night.
Still light. You pull into Stormhold. Your horses are tired. You know, you were able to water them a couple of times on the way. And Stormhold looks kind of like a grim kind of, I don't want to say depressing city, but it's certainly not, doesn't have the light atmosphere that Port Prospera did, even with the Tower of Set there. For the one thing, you can kind of see already like a storm overhead. Now, it's not like a downpour, but it is kind of like drizzling. Now, it's still warmer weather, so it's not like a cold rain. And you can kind of see lightning in the sky. You know, Soraya just says, and you can confirm this, Rorik, that this is just how this place is. It seems to rain here, you know, once a day.
Seattle.
Yeah, exactly. Just the way the pattern is.
It makes for hardier people.
Yeah. Yep. Or crazy people like in Seattle. A lot of the building materials are similar. Okay, but it just kind of seems like maybe it just seems a little grayer, a little grimmer. But yeah, there is a city gate. It's not closed or anything. And there's moderate traffic around even at nighttime. We will say you have a familiarity with this city, Rorik, so you can easily tell, you know, where whatchamacallit, where the I think you guys, didn't you tell me last time you were headed to a certain inn?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the one that I think Aurora
Yeah.
asked you to go to, the Crimson Blade Tavern. And then what you do after that, you're going to have to tell me. So you can make your way there. A lot of these buildings are stone. You know, there's not there is wood in the building, but a lot of these are big, sturdy stone buildings. You know, it looked like they could survive a hurricane. You know, and who knows, maybe they have to. Yeah, so you know where the Crimson Blade Tavern is. If are you going right there? Anywhere else you want to go?
No,
Yeah,
we should go
absolutely.
right there, yeah.
Okay.
We've been on the road. We're whooped and we're wet.
Yep, and let's get these horses taken care of tonight.
Yep. All right. There's no stable attached to the tavern or anything. Again, you can probably help out in that regard, Rorik.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can find one. You know, maybe like a block away to stable. We'll say that gets taken care of. Heading into the Crimson Blade Tavern, you see a healthy mix. This is closer to the dock area. You know, and you see even more ships, you know, here. There is a nice kind of like little protected harbor that kind of juts out. And that's, you know, of course, where the port is, and, you know, I guess the dock, you know, and all that stuff. So this is kind of like near the dock area. So you're seeing a decent amount of sailor folk, you know, but also some women of the night, and just some regular Joes. You know, probably the tanner, you know, the smith, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker.
When we're let's secure some room, like some rooms for tonight. We're obviously going to pay for Rorik. Like, I'm going to pay for Rorik's. And then I'm going to ask Soraya, are we getting one room for us or two?
She's like, I'd feel safer with one room.
So do you want to stay with me or do you want to stay with Rorik?
She looks at you like you're stupid, you know, and says, who do you think?
All right, I'm just checking. So trying it point to
Yeah.
get rid of her,
Yeah.
which I'm gonna try to do tonight. I'm gonna say, are we gonna split up this treasure and we both go our own way?
She's like, why don't we do that when we get up to your lands in the north?
You just can't get enough of me, can you?
She's like, what would you have? You said you needed a bodyguard. What's a woman supposed to do out here? She's like, the first guy I come on to, he might cut my throat in the middle of the night. You'd do that to me? Someone who made you wealthy beyond your dreams?
How do you want to play this? Are you my sister, my cousin?
She says, well, if need be. She's like, I was hoping we could be more. And she steps towards you and kind of like grabs your hand, goes to grab your hand. What do you do?
No.
Pull it away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my best friend's girlfriend a day ago.
That's right.
Maybe 2 days ago.
A couple days ago, yeah. She gets a little pouty and says, fine, you're my brother. I'm your sister.
That's fine.
She's like, I get the bed. You can sleep on the floor.
That's fine as well.
She might even give you a harumph.
Like that. Again, that's fine too. Before we do call it a night, like let's split up these bags to make them easier to carry, things of that nature, which we haven't been able to do. We have not laid out this. We don't know what we have yet.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I am content on doing that.
All right. I will tell you what you have later, though, but you can say that you did that right now.
That's
if
fine.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, because there is a lot to go through. So next time I will do my homework and give you the precise itemization of everything in the 4 bags, right?
Yeah, there was 2 big bags.
Yeah, 2 big and 2
and
small.
2, yes.
And it was a
smaller
mix of
Everything,
item,
yeah.
coin items, big, small.
There was some trinkets. There was some gems.
Yep. Now you took a nice dagger from inside.
That
the
is
temple.
correct too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now you didn't take his hammer or the hammer that they used, right?
I didn't grab a hammer. No.
Yeah, because I think that's what was used to kill that creature.
I did not grab it on my ride out.
All right. So what is your next step then after doing that? What is the goal here?
To catch that boat.
Yeah. While they're doing the treasure thing, I'll be down getting myself some drinks
All right.
needed and a bite to eat and just unwind a little bit. Then
We'll
after
come
that-
down to.
All right. Yeah. So about 8 o'clock or
We'll
something.
come down and
they
do
come
that as
down,
well.
8 or 9.
Yep.
So now you're all together, one big happy family. Now you
Yep.
said you wanted to try to charter a boat.
Absolutely right. That's how we want to get
Yeah.
back up north. Yep.
Okay. You doing it now? Morning?
Probably best in the morning since it's 8 o'clock at night.
And we're whooped.
Okay. All right.
And then now properly introduce Rorik to Soraya as my sister. Like he's been under the impression that perhaps this was my lady.
Oh. All right. That would explain some. I'll say quietly, kind of underneath my breath. That would explain some things.
All right. So obviously hard day's travel. The inn doesn't get too wild. Even with the sailor folk there, and things do quiet down later after you have a passable meal, some ale. Is there anything you want to do here with the crowd? I've kind of described it as kind of a working class crowd.
Right. Yeah, we've been hard traveling. We know.
All right. All right. So you go to bed in the morning. You are actually, Otto, you are awakened by a knock on your door.
Okay. You know who's there?
It's a female voice. It sounds like Aurora.
Oh, I'll open the door.
Harumph.
She says, well, hello there. I'm glad you made it here. I was right behind you. She says, hey, I have a favor now to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be heading north. I'm going to catch a ship here, but I'm going to be staying at a at a friend's place. Someone may be looking for me. If you hear somebody looking for me, can you please tell them that I was never here?
Absolutely.
She says, thank you. And she kind of smiles at you, kind of looks over you, and just kind of gives a cursory nod to Soraya and says, Miss. Soraya just kind of goes,
What a snot.
Yes, she is.
Okay. So she leaves unless you waylay her in any way.
No, I mean, I'm not going to, press her for any more information.
Mm-hmm.
We've never done that with each other.
All right.
I'm not going to start now.
I
I want to keep building this trust with her rather than like peppering her with more questions.
it kind of catches you like, oh, she's going back north.
Yeah.
Now you guys were going to try to see if there was a boat.
Yes.
Did you
Yeah.
say? Okay.
We're going to end up being on the same boat. It's like an episode of Love Boat.
Okay. You go to the harbor master. Boats heading north to Civ.
Yep.
2 days. One leaves.
Okay. I want to be on that boat.
You can secure your passage with a small deposit.
Yep. For 3 of us.
Okay. It's done. Easy as that. Overkill Joe. Rumpf. Glad you noticed that. Anything else you want to do?
On this day, after securing that member, I wanted to change my appearance a bit. I wanted to get a haircut.
Yeah. Fair
Clean
enough.
myself up. Yep.
Well, that's certain. All those services are available.
Yep.
The market here is not as big as the one in Port Prospera, but there's a small market, and you find a lot of like stands along like the side streets and that. So there are places you just kind of have to ask a little bit.
I want new
and-
clothes. I want new hair. I want a new appearance.
Okay, consider the haircut done.
While he's doing that,
consider new clothes done. Yep.
While he's doing that, I'll go back to the stables. I will ask around, arrange to sell the horses.
Very good. Just make a charisma roll if you would.
That's below, right?
Yeah, that or below.
No, I didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
By one.
All right. Hard to find a buyer. The stable. I tell you what, the stable master says, I'll buy him off you, but for 50. So you'd be taking probably a loss. He says, you're more than welcome to like.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, I got 20 gold earlier for a horse I stole. Now I'm going to get 50.
Yeah. I'm making out on the deal.
2 but I will say this. I tell you what, that is a deal, but you got to toss it another 5 for my saddle. It's a nice saddle.
He says, fair enough.
All right.
Yeah. 55 each. Are you selling just yours or both?
Both.
Both. Yep. All right. So we'll say you have one really nice saddle. The other one is just okay. He'll give you 107. 107 for the lot. And I know we're up against it. We'll say, all right, anything else? You guys just meeting back at the inn?
Yeah.
Last thing. At the inn, as maybe the late afternoon crowd is coming in after you're doing all this running around mid to late afternoon, you see a very impressive looking guy. Looks like a noble. And he's at the bar, and he makes a general announcement as you walk in. I'm wondering if any of you have seen my fiancée. Auburn hair. He describes Aurora to a T. Everybody's just like, nah, I haven't seen her in a while. Nope, haven't seen her in a long time. She was here a while ago, but, not anymore. He even turns to you. How about you? Friends, have you seen this woman?
I haven't seen
I fear she may be missing and in trouble.
I haven't seen anybody that you're describing.
All right. Let's leave it there. All right. Let's go back. Thank you guys for sticking around.
Thank you, everybody.
We got 58. Tell you what, I'm not going to mince words. We're going to get out of here. I'll leave you with a song, though. Leave you with a good one. In the era of glasnost that we've had tonight, I have a good song picked out. So peace to all you. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for all the super chats and money and all that stuff. You guys have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Follow the Moskwa down to Gonky Park, listening to the wind of change. An August summer night, soldiers passing by, listening to the wind of change. Closing in. Did you ever think that we could be so close, like brothers? The future's in the air, can feel it everywhere. I'm blowing with the wind of change. Children of tomorrow dream
at it from up here. You get an appreciation of our world is a beautiful place, and we do need to take care of it.